Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Arvanauts. Welcome all to another afternoon stream. It is Tuesday, December 21st, 2021. As you can tell, I am back home now. I am no longer on the road and dealing with whatever tech issues those would be. But we are back here for our last of the year, actually, Adventures in Middle-earth session. It is day 32 of Adventures Middle-earth, Erebor Adventures to Dungeons Deep. And I hope everyone is looking forward to this session as much as I am. Before we go any further, a couple of quick reminders. If you haven't done so already, please follow the channel. Please check out our YouTube with !ArvTube, where you can see past broadcasts of this and many other streams. !ArvCord is our Discord channel, where you can hang out with the Arvanauts in between streams. The Twitter is !ArvTweets, where I will always try to post when I'm going live or if there is a change in schedule, etc. And the website for this is arvanelleron.com. On the financial side, !ArvShop is my merchandise area, where you can get stuff for Adventures in Middle-earth and Infinity and Beyond, and soon to be Esper Genesis as well. !ArvTreon is the Patreon, which really does make a difference. It is, as I've said many, many times, the financial backbone of the channel, so please consider joining the 22 other people who support us to the tune of $2.11 per month. That is really appreciated. It allows me to do various assets and things like that video you just saw and stuff, so that would be much appreciated. !ArvTreon for that. You can get good stuff for yourself as well individually, and inspirations to help the players. And, of course, subscribing to the channel is hugely helpful as well, and I want to thank Arudinel for the resub. 35 total months of resub at tier 3 as well. My goodness. Really appreciate that, Arudinel. Hope all is going well with you. And yeah, so you can join Arudinel and get those custom sub badges and emotes and inspirations to help the players and so forth. On the publishing side, !Icarus for my Icarus graphic novel from Athos Arts. !Library for my Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, my 5e adventure and sourcebook from Alligator Alley Entertainment. And both of those companies are going to be involved in my upcoming Greyshade Kickstarter, which will be launching next year, !Greyshade KS. More details about that soon. Next 2 weeks, I'm going to have a lot more information on the final shape of that Kickstarter, so I'm very excited to talk more about that very soon. And last but certainly not least, of course, !BLM, Black Lives Matter. Very important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. And !Help Now, which is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Very important to reach out to others when you need help and to reach out to others when they need help as well. Last point that I want to make very quickly, because I want to get right into the adventure, but I do want to mention schedule-wise that I'm going to be on later today on GOG.com's Twitch channel for Pen and Pixels and some more Solasta, Crown of the Magister. I've been away from Solasta for too long, so I'm looking forward to getting back into it. And then we will be back on Friday. And if you take a quick look at the calendar that we've got coming up, I have some work to do over the next few days, but on Friday I'm going to be back because it is Christmas Eve in the United States on the 24th, and I have D&D with viewers listed up there, but actually, because I already did the D&D with viewers thing with Midwinter's Morning, I probably won't be doing that on Friday night. I probably will be doing some more of the Saboteur, because nothing says Christmas like a Irishman with a temper running around Resistance Paris punching Nazis in the face. So we might do that on Friday night. And then Saturday, we've got two things going on. We have our special holiday event with my family, Little Arv, Mrs. Arv, Mini Arv are all going to be joining me to play a game. We'll be doing that with the rest of you, and then we'll be continuing on to do other stuff, maybe Saboteur. I haven't totally decided. I may also do some Legacy of Dragonholt, because I'd like to get that game wrapped up too, so we'll see. And then we're off Sunday and Monday, and we'll be back next Tuesday with the Patreon Field Chat Chosen Game of the Month, which reminds me that I need to put nominations up. Please don't let me forget. I need to nominate games today for that Chat Chosen Game of the Month. And then, as I said, Solasta, Crown of the Magister. And the last stream of the year will be a week from this Friday, which will be our Game of the Year show, and it'll be the year of streaming and gaming and review. I'll have my top games that I played this year ranked and all that, and then we will move into what I hope will be for the entire world a better 2022. So with that said, I'm going to unmute myself so the folks know we're ready to go. I will, as always, apologize for interrupting them. And last but certainly not least, I will head over to this, although I realize that I have forgotten their cams only overlay because I is professional streamer, but that's fine because none of you will ever know that that actually happened. I'm just totally trolling you and not at all at the moment putting up the cams only link for AIME so that I can have this set. It'll be just fine. It'll be great. But I did want to show, because I was asked about Worldcon here, so I did just want to show them. I don't think they had seen these specifically. that I had a drive-by calligraphy event this Worldcon, by which I mean, and I don't know if Amal's ever had this happen to her, but this is something which is right up Amal's alley. So I was doing a panel on in praise of randomness. Marie Brennan was the chair. It was a really great panel about randomness in tabletop and role playing and sort of how designers think about it and everything. So we were talking about that, and two things came up. I've said a bunch of things, I guess I usually do on panels. And then this person came up and of course everyone's masked, right? And hands me two things. And I'm not going to show them to you because I don't want to spoil what they say yet. But she hands these two things which have beautiful calligraphy on them. And I'm like, my mother was a calligrapher. And I'm like, oh, wow, these are really pretty. And I'm just staring at them and I'm like, oh, wait, I said that. So apparently this person's shtick is they go to panels and then when they hear interesting things, they write them on sheets in calligraphy and then hand them to people. And so the two that I got were players say they want randomness when they really want success, because that I did say that and it's true. And then the other one was this poor guy in a question was saying, I wanted to ask you, my dice are cursed when I play games. And he's like, and I thought he was going to go on to say, how do I keep my dice from being cursed? But he didn't ask that. He was just like, so, I'm wondering about, like, it just feels like, I guess that's just selection bias. So we had a discussion about that. But I said, listen, you also have to remember that if it's really true, I don't think it is, but if it's really true that your dice constantly fail, there's a kind of legendary quality to that, right? Like you should lean into that feeling. If you've got an orc down on the ground and they're unconscious, how many people can miss an unconscious orc, right? And so the other thing I got was this, how many people can miss an unconscious orc in beautiful calligraphy. So this was the coolest thing. And I don't know if this has ever happened to anybody, but I'm just like, what? This is awesome. Like someone just randomly shows up and does calligraphy of your stuff that you say. It was really cool. So I wanted to highlight that because it was fun.
I think that has happened to me as well, except that it was in the context of a virtual panel. So someone tagged me in the calligraphy that they had done of the thing. And again, perhaps it is a different person, but it seems like that would be weird.
I think they're called the drive-by calligrapher on Twitter. And I was just like, this is the coolest thing.
Hands in the hood.
Drive-by. Yes, exactly. And I'm sorry. As you guys go through, I'm gonna look up mine because I've forgotten what mine said.
It was cool. It was one of the coolest things ever. Someone just being like, and again, I was like, oh, that's nice. Like people hand you things after panels, and then I'm like, oh wait, that's actually something I said. So anyway, it was very cool. Worldcon was fun. So, but I'm going to introduce these lovely players. It is good to be back with all of them, and I begin with now we had a big argument about this. What I and the other players believe to be a very holiday-themed trend, and which he swears has been this way since he, quote, moved in. But I'm just asking you, chat. I'm just saying, like, it feels very Christmassy or / holiday-y, the solstice-y to me. And, I don't know. But anyway, Trent, I know it's not those things, but it just feels like
No. I do not debate that it does seem that way. It does seem very Christmassy and solstice and holiday-y and everything. I'm telling you, that's not why it's there.
That's not why it's there.
It has been there for 6 years.
I just don't understand. It's so funny. We've gotten a big discussion of whether you see things or not. Anyway, how are you doing, Trent? How's life with you, and who are you playing today?
Doing okay. I'm a little less tired than I was last week. But we didn't play last week, so it really didn't matter. But as soon as we decided not to play last week, I just went right back to bed.
Yep.
And then slept for like an hour and then woke up and I was fine. I was like, ugh. But this morning I decided that I would go out to the backyard and grab an orange, which I've basically done every day for like the last week or so.
Which I explained to Trent was a nice casual California flex. Like I just go out on my back, oh look, an orange, whoops, off the tree, and then he's like, and then tell me what you said after I said that, Trent.
It's the orange tree is actually in the neighbor's backyard, but it leans over into our side. It's right next to the avocado tree.
Yeah, I was just like, are you
leans over to our side?
The avocado tree.
What you're saying is that you're scrumping all of this fruit.
Scrumping.
Scrumping is specifically theft of fruit from orchards.
Oh, okay, so, yeah, that's like, true. You were involved in theft.
Okay,
a special name for stealing fruit.
It is.
I would just say stealing, but it's not an orchard. B, they want me to take the fruit off thing because they can't get to it on their side. And there's far more than their entire household and our entire household can eat. There's another flex for you. Merry Christmas.
They just wanted to give to me the
Multiple
orange.
flexes,
Look,
just
look,
like
it's a navel orange. It's got a big belly button on the bottom.
I
guys
wanted
think-
so much.
Do you guys think Frodo scrumped
Oh,
in the mushrooms?
oh, well,
Or
absolutely.
did he
If that's what
Definitely
that
Merry
is, then
Pippin.
yes.
Yeah,
mean,
I don't think, even though fruiting bodies and stuff, I don't think mushrooms count. But in the sense of like the reason it's there's something called scrumpy as well, like a kind of cider that is specifically made from I think from windfall apples and stuff like that. So but I was very charmed to learn that there is a specific term for the yoinking of fruit from trees. And so yeah, I gift you with the word scrumpy in exchange for the sight of your beautiful navel orange. But yes.
Garlic Tofu does point out that she thought I was going to retort with, but Arv, you live on the ocean was going to be Tren's response. And I'm like, well, yeah, but he, yes, but I it's snowy right now. I can't pick an orange. Okay. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, when not scrumping oranges, Tren, what else do you do?
which is all the time because I do not scrump. That would be my calligraphy thing. I do not scrump.
I do not
scrump.
So,
I do not scrump.
Sam, I am.
Sam, I am.
Right, exactly. Oh, I feel like there was something else I was going to say.
I will not
I'm sorry,
scrump
I'm
them
so
with a bush.
sorry.
I will not scrump them
it's-
in a tush.
It-
Wow,
I did that on
okay.
purpose just to see how you'd react.
okay, yeah. Merry Christmas then. So that was the other thing. Somebody, not the in a tush thing, but somebody quote something that while we were in the green room talking about stuff, and it's like this frog who's sitting in like a kind of almost
Yeah,
Victorian suit, right? And it says, "My esteemed friends, it is a pleasure to inform you that today shall be the final 21st day of the 21st year of the 21st century." And I'm like, nice. Okay.
Yeah, that
yes,
sounded like
well,
something coming from you for sure.
No, what's been on my mind recently is, remember when we were playing Curse of Strahd, and Weller was always asking, do you know what a dar is? Because you've got like a yearling and all the different like baby animals that are referred to as ling
Sure.
something. Well, I think for what the hell's my character's name now? While I'm trying to remember the name of my current D&D character, please go and boost the channel because we're 6K into boosting the stream.
Oh, we have a channel boost. Nice. I can't see that
Yeah.
on Chatty. Yes, please boost the channel, folks, so we can get even more wonderful people watching these players. Sorry, Trent, go on.
How do we do that?
So on the bottom of the screen, you have a bunch of channel points from just hanging out in chat, and there should be a way that if you it'll either show on the Twitch chat a channel boost button, like that you can click on and then contribute your points, like underneath the chat window, or it'll say it on it.
Oh, wait. Sorry, it says click to claim a bonus.
Well, you click that, and then then if you click on it again, it'll show you things you can use your channel points on.
Ooh.
Or at the top of the chat, you should see a small banner that says Community Challenge started. You can click on that, it goes directly to the boost thing, and you can contribute from there.
Hey.
Mia Tanton is the character's name, finally remembered.
Mm-hmm.
I think his thing is going to be, if you can be ruthless, can you be ruthful? And what is Ruth? What is being Ruth? And then that's going to be his thing now, I think.
I like it.
I ruined it. Never mind. So I am playing some guy whose name I also can't remember, but it is because I always have trouble remembering it when we start out. But he is Thane Tawnybear the Hearthmender, dwarf friend. I only know that because I just read it before I turned back to this camera. I say this camera as though I have another one. So he is kind of the party healer, and he's going to. Oh, that was the thing I forgot to tell. Tell Brad before we got started. That's okay. It'll come up. It'll be a great joke. Never mind. Let's roll on. So speaking of Brad,
it's Brad. It's good to see you, Brad. Welcome. We were I was singing Brad's praises as an author in the green room. I will do so again to all of you. You should get all of Brad's stuff.
In E flat, please.
Yes, yes, exactly. But how is life with you? How's things? How are you managing? How are you feeling? And who are you playing, Brad?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for hosting. Happy holidays, everybody. Glad to be here. I'm doing pretty good. The stroke effects are lessening, getting better over time. Still some clumsiness in my left hand. I still have this weird thing where I can't. It's especially noticeable with like drinks. Like you have this sense without really looking at your hand of how it's positioned. This is true of all your limbs.
Kinesthesia.
Yeah, kinesthetic sense. And so mine is off, so if I fill a glass like almost to the top and I don't look at my hand, it'll be tilted and I'll spill sometimes. And it's just a thing that's like off a little bit, and it's like it's getting better over time. Like right after the stroke, it was pretty bad. Like I would like look down and the cup was like this and tilted, sideways and stuff. And so that's like one weird effect. And but that's getting better. So is typing. I'm probably 75% back to where it was, and then still a little bit of weird numbness on my left side of my lips. And talking is pretty normal. I can't remember if I mentioned this before. Like another weird effect is like, when you get cold, you're outside for a while and you start talking like, more slowly, like your mouth just doesn't move as quickly as it does because it's cold, right? The nerves are colder and reactions are slowed. And so that effect is like heightened. Oh, I don't know if I have to sign for something. I may have to sign for something.
Okay.
That's arriving at my house, but go to Amal and I'll come back because I want to talk about a couple things.
Okay, sounds good. Well, then I will go to Amal and have Amal tell us. Welcome, Amal. It's good to see you. We have had quite a chat about a lot of things field related, but I will say, I know Brad left, but I will give us all the opportunity to congratulate our own issues of other things aside, the winners of the Hugos that we know, some of whom are mutual friends of Amal and myself, and also of Brad too. But and I'm thinking about it because I'm just like, I'm looking at another Hugo winner along with just that thing. It's all there.
That's true.
So how are you, Amal? How's life, and who are you playing?
Things are okay. We're managing with the news and stuff and variants and things, and just being at home and canceling plans and being like, oh well, luckily we have Twitch streams to take part in and
Indeed.
stuff. But last week was my birthday, and I'm wearing
Happy birthday.
Birthday earrings that my dear friend Jess gave me, and I love them so much. They are blue butterflies. I don't know what kind. They don't seem like they would be morphos. I don't think that's right. Anyway, I love them. They're blue, and that's cool. But I'm in the thick of marking, the sort of drawing to a close. And other than that, I feel like there was something else something I should say. I had a bit of an ordeal a little while ago, in that I tried to go visit friends in Boston a couple weeks ago and was denied entry to the US, which has never happened before, and sucks. But as a consequence of that, sort of, the intention had been to go visit my friends Max and Steph, Max being, co-author of Time War. And while visiting them, I was going to swing by Max's local bookstore, Porter Square Books, and sign some of their stock, as you do when you're in town. So they, anticipating this, stocked up in a really, really big way. They had some 50 odd copies of the book. And anticipating that they would be able to say, look, it's signed by both authors. That never happens in this economy.
In these troubled times,
in these unprecedented times. So that, because that didn't happen, I felt really bad, and I ended up writing 52 postcards with my signature on them and sending them to Porter Square to include with the book. And the postcards arrived as of yesterday. They are definitely there. They're being included with all of the orders and stuff. And as a consequence, I think, and partly because people are wonderful, they're down to 7 copies out of those
Nice.
50 odd. So I feel relieved, because just like the thought of having been, however indirectly, responsible for like an independent bookstore being left in the lurch and stuff like that.
Did they tell you why you got denied? Like, I mean, sorry, this is maybe not a conversation to get into for too long.
They did. Do you want to know? Do you want to know the reason?
If it's fast, because I feel bad for people.
Yeah, no, the reason that they gave me was that I have insufficient ties to Canada.
What?
Oh yeah. So anyway, let's not belabor this.
What?
But like, yeah, just to be clear,
this was the U.S. side that did this, right? That didn't let you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, exactly. Crucially, my husband, who was with me, who is not a Canadian citizen, is a permanent resident. But he didn't get turned away. I was the problem. Me, the Canadian citizen.
I wonder if it was your name with insufficient ties to them, right?
But I mean, like, I cannot stress enough that, like, obviously I was born in, am resident in, work in, have cats in Canada. All anyway, all of my ties are to Canada, but they were insufficient.
Wow.
So anyway, whatever. The point, it was very upsetting. It was terrible. They detained us for 6 hours. But we can leave that.
Sorry,
in the
I didn't mean to. Let's go to a world in which you can fight evil immediately.
Bookstores are great. People buying books are great. I'm extremely grateful for everyone who bought a book from Porter Square specifically, because I was very sad about it. And I like the fact that as a consequence, people who do buy the book have this tiny piece of weird ephemera from me, having, like, because it's not just my name on them, it's like a tiny bit of extemporizing stuff and good wishes and lyrics and puns and things like that. So yeah. Anyway, other than that, pretty okay.
And you're playing today in our.
And today I'm playing a character called the River, who is a woodsman of Rosgobel and who is a fighty bard, a warden, and who fights alongside her faithful hound of Mirkwood named Stone.
Ephemera is a bone in your leg, right?
No. But this is River and this is Stone. Here they are, as drawn by Tari, who I wish could be here.
I know. I've got to get another shirt with the group on the front. Again, the reason I've been resisting getting a shirt is I don't want to show favoritism to any player or character. I love them all. So no, I know, Dragon.
I bet Tari could make one of just Stone.
And then you would,
know, because you do sort of play Stone.
Well, do I? I guess I do sometimes. That's true. That's true. Yeah, I like dogs. That's true. Yes, maybe I should do that. It's a good call. I will see. Yes, I will say just before we go back to Brad that I was going to get to this last, but Terry is on the road and probably won't be able to join us, which is sad, but hopefully will. But either way, we will have Terry back. Everything's fine. She will be back next month. But I'm just letting folks know. Also, she's going to be doing some more emotes for the stream, for the channel, for follower emotes. So she's going to be doing that as well. But in the meantime, you should follow Terry Toons, who is a wonderful professional cartoonist. She's been doing heraldry things because this is the month of, I forget what she calls it, Heraldric December or something. So she's been doing different crests and other things that if I say more, she'll get mad at me because I'm not getting the right heraldry term. But in any case, you should check her stuff out. She is TARITOONS everywhere on, I don't know if I think she's got Instagram still and on Twitter and places like that. So, but now moving back on over, pleasure to have Amal with us. Moving right back over to Brad. So yes, Brad, now that you've signed for whatever you just got, tell us more about you and about who you're playing.
Yeah, I feel like the end state of capitalism is going to be us, like, just glued to a screen looking for like the best possible deals and not actually buying things because you're researching things for too long and like, sure that you're not wasting your money and stuff. And in any case, so I'm coming down off a a TV watching high. I'm having a hangover of Ted Lasso. I don't know if you guys are Ted Lasso fans.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yes,
want to see it.
very
I don't have
much.
Apple TV, but everyone
Yeah.
tells me.
Yeah, very, very good show. In any case, since we last spoke, chat, I have books out officially at this point.
Ooh, books.
So, US version.
Oh my gosh,
So pretty.
they're so beautiful.
Yeah.
I know, this one in particular is just crazy cool.
Oh my gosh.
and
Wait,
they had the,
which one is the North American one?
This one,
Or oh wow.
like a deco
cool.
kind of vibe
Yep,
to it, and this
yep.
one sort of does too. It's more of a glitz
More
and glamour
Matrixy
type
feels
cover.
like. Oh
little
yeah,
bit.
yeah. I had to. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of thing. So yeah, they're officially out at this point, including audio if you like audiobooks. So if you like deco punk, 1920s roaring 20s, reimagined Chicago, big mystery adventure that happens with the characters, you can check it out. It also has a lot of Bioshock. It's got that kind of feel to it a little bit. I was a huge fan of that, and that was a minor influencer in the story. But I'm excited to be back with Bolobras Took, a Hobbit treasure hunter who, although he is facing a bunch of silent vultures, is very glad to be out from under the earth.
Yes. That's true. You're no longer under the earth. Now you're just attacking vultures, but it's a much different kind
You got
of.
to take the good with the bad.
Yeah,
So
much different kind of problem that
prepared
exists.
and ready to adventure.
Yes, and we stopped in our last session, Chad, because we were kind of up against it in terms of time. So we were in the middle of a battle against silent vultures, and we're going to find out more about that in just a minute. This is going to be, I would buckle up, players, because this is going to be an interesting session, not just because of the vultures, but because of what happens if you survive. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. Before we get there, let's jump back over to the map so we can do our little recap as we always do. And let me also say, since this is the last session of the year for this crew, let me just say, again, I'll mention at the end what a pleasure it's been to play with these folks, how happy it makes me to play Middle-earth stuff with people who also love it as I do. Without getting into details, chat, there are rumblings on the horizon of things relating to this group and this campaign, some of which they know about, which I'm not at liberty to talk about openly, but I am very excited about the possibility. So we shall see. In any case, let's get some
Wasn't it
music
also the
fired up.
20th anniversary of Lord of the Rings?
And it is, this week is the 20th anniversary of the release of Fellowship of the Ring.
No!
In case you want to feel old, Elijah Wood is now 40. So, just that's the thing. Yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, Matrix, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, 20 years since the Fellowship of the Ring first began. Honestly, I think one of the highest stakes type of game, highest stakes type of film that needed to stick the landing and basically did. Not perfectly. There are issues, especially with the Two Towers, I think, in terms of interpretation. But in general, what an incredible triumph for three very, very well done films of a difficult work to bring to life. And thank God, because thank God they didn't start with his version of The Hobbit. Anyway,
Oh my
but Lord of the
God,
Rings
yeah.
is great. Lord of the Rings is awesome, and you should check it out. So,
Can I just say two things quickly on that?
Yes.
Like, one, The Fellowship of the Ring is still my favorite of the three.
Same.
Not least because it was, there was just a moment in where it was so exactly what had been in my head when I read the book that I was dazzled. And whenever I think of that moment, I still feel like I'm falling from a great height and just being completely obliterated.
hard same, yeah.
In a good way. But the other thing is that I, in terms of like feeling old and stuff like that, I read another obliterating sort of tweet or thing, seeing a tweet on Instagram, which is that we are closer to the year 2040 than we are to the year 2000.
Yeah, that's...
Isn't that great?
Yeah, that's
We're moving
wonderful,
to
isn't it?
time.
That's great news for
A
all of us.
beautiful thing. For movement.
It is true.
Growth.
I agree with you, and it is true about Fellowship. That is my favorite three. It's probably my favorite film, actually. There were so many things that were done well, and I remember sitting in the theater and just seeing, and it literally happened with the first time you see Gandalf, and there's Ian McKellen on the cart, and turning to look at Frodo and just saying this, he arrives exactly when he means to. But when Frodo jumps in and McKellen has that line, Gandalf has that line, "You didn't think I'd miss your Uncle Bilbo's birthday." His warmth, I was like, I just settled back in my chair. I'm like, thank God they got it, because they knew how important it was to nail the Shire, to not make it just, super pro actiony right off from the bat. Just beautiful, beautiful work, and so well acted. Hard to imagine that Sean Connery was the one who was first offered the role of Gandalf and turned it down. Just fly, you fools. I don't know what it sounded like from Connery, but boy, McKellen was just utterly brilliant in that role. So yes, I love Fellowship, but I won't go on about that because we got to get into an adventure. And the adventure that we have here, chat, is the group of adventurers. I got some wind here. There's the wind. Okay, I want to make sure I had some. The Anjouanauts, as we have decided to call themselves, are here venturing through the waste. They came here because they are seeking out a dwarven, or they were seeking out a dwarven scholar named Domi, who had critical information to give to Bard, and which in some way was tied into the growing rift between the dwarves and the Men of Dale and the Bardings as well. There was this sense that something was going on between the two groups, and it's not entirely clear what happened and how, but now things are beginning to become more clarified. And once the party found Domi and defeated Domi and the dwarven captors around them, they realized that the thing they had been trying to unearth was actually a tomb. It was a tomb that originally was of Gerion's eldest son, Gerion of Dale. And when they went down and all the way to the end of that tomb, they discovered there, the sarcophagus, the tomb of that eldest son, and also a suit of spectacular dwarven mail, which obviously had been worn at some point by Gerion's eldest son, which creates a problem because both dwarves and men are clearly going to lay claim to this gorgeous artifact of the older days, and so that's something that they have to think about. And then the shadow came, or something came, because some terrible screeching cry sounded and chilled the bones of those both inside and outside of the tomb, and caused certain people to actually head off. There was, in fact, a horse along with, I believe it was... I have to find the name of the guy.
Clifford.
Yes, Clifford, thank you. Clifford, who ran off with the said horse. Tawny had to track them down. Clifford still looks very despondent. Lilliman is doing a little better, but is still kind of obviously sort of affected by what they went through. Tawny was affected too, but not enough to really slow him down, just sort of felt this thing pass over them. But those who were inside the tomb were definitely affected by this cry. And so the party had this issue, and then when they came out of the tomb, they saw out there the attack of these huge silent creatures that are vultures. They look like that I have just put on the screen. They look like this. And these creatures came down and attacked. And they attacked under the direction, apparently, of a goblin whose name is Furball. And the only reason the party knows that is because they captured Furball. He was the lead of the captors of these dwarves that Domi was leading. The goblin was the leader of those that had attacked them. But the party thought that they had him under, tied up and locked down and unconscious, and yet here he was on the top of this vulture, clearly possessed of some strange shadow-driven strength, as indeed these creatures tend to be. And so the party is beginning to fight them, and as we sort of set up here, we have Furball on the back of one of those vultures. We have two others that are somewhat hurt and two that are relatively fresh. The party has already killed a couple of them. I think one or two of them, but there are a couple of more which remain. And so, unlike the Fellowship of the Ring, which begins with a nice, pleasant moment in the Shire, we're not getting that, people. We are going to start right off with some combat. We are in initiative already, actually. We already have an initiative order. So I am just going to fire up some combat music. I think I'll go with this.
Before we get started, can I...
I'm sorry.
Your phone.
Oh, okay. Well, before we get started, let's have a Saved by the Bell and just... Yes, actually, I guess I'll ask Tran and Brad. I feel like there was something we learned about the vultures and the goblin in terms of attacking them. There was something. I feel like we learned something and I'm trying to remember what it was in terms of like something that was not working versus something that was working, and I'm trying to remember if it was just that, like, I remember maybe if I just look at the rolls.
Well, I do recall that Greg Arv made a point of pointing out that they were silent in flight, but also that they sparked, like their wing sparked
There's
when they
something
sort of
kind of constructed or metallic about them. Yeah.
Their feathers are like that, and
Okay.
Sorry, we know what the sparks are all about at this point, but is that what you were thinking of? Maybe
it was partly that, and it was also I think that I seem to remember that River attempted to specifically hit the goblin, and that and did him a ton of damage, but it didn't matter because he was sort of animated by a dark force. Whereas is that right?
It's not quite right. It's not that it didn't matter. It's that the blow should have been enough to kind of, send him to the next world, and did not do so. But it's not that he just was like, I feel nothing. Like, no, it was it definitely had an effect on him. But the fact that he just seems to have a greater strength, which is helping to sustain him. Not that he's immune from attack. That's not the case.
Oh, okay. And I was trying to remember, what occasioned me saying this was I was trying to remember whether we had learned something about the way that we were attacking the birds. I remember that they spark when we hit them as if they are constructed or metallic or something. Right.
Yeah. So let me be clear about that. So they are definitely not. First of all, I apologize for that. That's a long story about that phone. They are not constructed. They are the feathers themselves are extremely stiff, and the description basically of them is that the creatures themselves, these are sort of like natural things, but their feathers of these creatures act almost like scales. We know that birds, of course, in our world, we know that birds evolve originally from dinosaurs, and there is a sense that these may be in some sort of in-between primal state, so to speak, of having both of them. But no, they are definitely not like constructed, but they are very stiff, these feathers. So when you hear the sort of literally almost see sparks, it is because the feathers almost feel more, at least around the body of the creature, feel almost more stone-like. Not your dog, actual stone-like.
I'd be happy if stone spontaneously grew like stony armor all of a sudden now.
Dire Hound of Mirthwood.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, cool. I was struggling to remember if we had learned something about attacking them from attacking them and being like, okay, that's not working, but this is working.
Well, one thing I can tell you for sure that you have learned is that as you were attacking these creatures, they have been able to do something where they dive in, they attack, and then they are able to use what is, with this fell speed, they are basically able to disengage as a bonus action from you before you can hit them. So there's been a lot of hit and run attacks. They also have the ability to grapple you. And in fact, as we begin at the top of the round, you're going to be going first, River. You actually start the round, A, miserable. I think you knew that already. And B, grappled. Stone is miserable, but not grappled. Bolo is not miserable because Bolo's above ground, so it's all good. The Inga is, and I'm going to ask one of you, maybe I'll give that to Tren, but Tren, you don't have to feel necessary to know.
I don't have control for her.
Oh, okay. So
it's like the one person I don't have access to.
So I guess the question is, which one of you would like to or was willing to Jaeger Terry for this?
Personally,
Inga?
I would recommend Amal because she also has things like Gleam of Terror.
That's logical. Yeah.
Weapons.
You're right.
That's true.
Are you cool with that, Amal? I'll give you control basically over her character.
Okay, I've never done this before and I'm scared, but I will.
This is how you learn.
Okay. All right. Apologies to Terry in advance if I don't like.
Why am I dead? Well, it was a strange.
Just remember the last time we fought these guys, it was basically Thanksgiving, so it's a bunch of turkeys.
It's true.
And so, huge meal.
Okay. Now we're going to light him up.
I have now changed it so that you should be able to move around Inga's token as well. Amal, can you check that for me?
And you should be able to open your character sheet.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, cool. So yes, so Inga is miserable but is not grappled. Tani is not miserable but is grappled. So everyone's got something that they're dealing with. And actually, Tani chose to stay grappled because Tani felt that he was, and mentioned to Bolo, that this would be a good time for Bolo to do a bunch of sneak attack, hits with flank sear and stuff like that while this thing is attached to Tani. So that's kind of the state where we are on the ground. So, River, you currently have one of these things attached to you, grappling you, and thus, although you cannot move, you could still, swing away at this piece of garbage vulture.
Grappling, mechanically, what does grappling do?
So, what grappling does is it lowers your movement to 0. It means that you cannot benefit from any bonus to your speed. But you can still, you could cast spells, attack creatures, things like that, but you are completely incapable of movement. There is also the danger with smaller creatures that you would be pulled off of your feet. This is something which could have maybe happened to Inga. But with Tani, it's just sort of this comical, like it's lifting Tani's arm, but it's not doing anything else because it's Tani. But with you, River, I mean, there is a little bit of a strain to stay on the ground, but you are able to do so. So, but you can't move anywhere as long as this thing is near you.
Right. I seem to remember as well that in this round of combat, River had already done Songs of Slaying.
Yes,
so I wanted
because
to
we
remember,
used that. Yes, that's right.
Did everyone use their gift die?
I
remember.
So Tani did for sure. I know this because I heard the video. And I think Bolo did. I don't know if Inga did or not. I want to say maybe because Inga was trying to do this thing of like, you may remember, attacked twice and missed twice, like with 2 failures, and everyone was sad.
Let me see if I can.
I can even see my D8 right here. I did a sneak attack.
Yeah, that's true, actually, because you can see it in Roll20. That is one of the benefits of having this. Yeah.
I'm gonna look back up just to see if I can
look for a D8 somewhere.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't see her having used a D8 as like I'm starting to get back to like history, lores, and things.
She might not have.
I see mine.
Sorry?
I see Tani's and I see mine.
Yeah, she might not have. She might not have used it yet.
Cool.
So I would say that's still there as an option.
Potentially. Okay, great.
And also, and I'm sorry to interrupt, just quickly, chat, just remember too, anyone who has inspirations left, this is, I believe, there is one other possible D&D session that might be happening this month if I choose to do this one thing, but it's not certain. So pretty much this is the last session of the month. So look at you shaking, nodding.
If you don't
You're
want
like,
it to
you're
be
like, what?
our last session ever.
See, look at that. Dragon Spear inspires River immediately. So
hooray! Thank you so much. Because I was gonna say too, yeah, I have 2 inspirations on the I think to use for other people. Obviously cannot use them on myself. But wait. If I'm Jaegering Inga, can I still use inspirations on
Inga?
Inga?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Good to know. But yeah, so for those who don't know, being miserable means that all of my attack rolls are at disadvantage. So getting inspiration means that I am not at disadvantage, which hooray. But yeah. So great. Okay, so grappling means I don't get bonuses for speed and things, but I can attack as normal, essentially.
Yes, that's correct.
So, and is it possible to both attack and attempt to get free on the same turn?
No. If you're going to try... oh, no, actually, no, I take that back because I did allow Tani to do that. Tani was able to attack and then could have, if he so chose, try to break free. Yes, basically your movement would be an attempt to get away. So that's the way I would think about it. And technically, I guess you could do that in either order. You could try to get away first if you want and then attack. Or, it might, I don't know. Again, I think Tani chose to stay connected to it because then you could just wail on it and have Bolo helping out with Tani. So I don't know.
I think it makes sense that if River is being grappled, I'm just trying to visualize this, and her arms are still free. I can absolutely see her hacking at the legs of this creature with her axes, especially since grappling is done by means of those legs. So I think that she's gonna try and
And this thing is,
Kill
as
two
it's
birds
doing
with
it,
one stone.
it's flapping its wings and like almost
Yeah.
hitting you in the face. Like it's this awful. There's also this stench coming from it. It is not a pleasant experience.
amazing. I just want to point out that the phrase "kill two birds with one stone" is particularly apt here.
Outstanding.
So here's
Well
what we're gonna try. Okay, so to dive in, so River is being grappled. She has an axe in each hand, and she is in fact going to wail on this bird and just going to go and attack twice
Okay.
with her named axes, which are named Megor and Lamath. So
nice.
yes, here we go.
Outstanding.
Thank you so much for the inspiration, Dragon Spear. I am hoping for gonna. So, Kathunk, let's attack the first.
Oh, I have to get the dice roller up. Everyone's like, "Where's the cool dice roller?"
That's a 17 and a 22.
Okay. Both of those are going to hit. Just give me a second while I pull up the While I pull this up. Why is it not showing? Because it's not showing because it was below the level of the map. Okay. Yes. So, okay, one more. There you go. Okay. Nice. So yes, those are both hits.
So that's 12 damage for that's the first attack.
Okay.
She gets a second attack
Yep.
on her turn. This one is presumably not inspired, though.
That is correct.
I have a D8 at the ready.
Sorry?
Do you also have a D8?
No,
at the
I
ready?
don't. I don't think I get one.
Right. It's for others.
from-
It's for the
It's for
allies.
But
Your
so
song doesn't inspire you.
You're gonna be
so
like,
yeah.
yeah, I've heard this song before. I actually need
I
to
mean,
double check too and see which one was the most hurt one. I think the one that Furball is riding, which is not this one, is the most hurt one because Inga and you have been doing all this damage to this. But the one that was grappling you, which was one that was a little hurt but not that much. So now it's more hurt. I just wanted to. I'm saying that out loud for me mostly.
okay.
Okay. So yes, you may attack
And
again.
so that was the first attack. The second attack, which is not affected by inspiration, kathunk, is an 8 in both cases. So
Sadly, that will
presumably not
miss
going to
both
hit.
times. Yes. Now, do you wish to break away? attempts to break away.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So to do that.
Although, wait a second. Actually, before attempting to break away, I think I'm gonna try and get this out of the way so it's not an issue as I Jaeger Inga and stuff. So if Inga wanted to move into a flank position with Stone, because Stone is up next, is that something that is feasible, or I just want to kind of set that up potentially?
If you wish to do, if you wanted Inga to move into a flank, are you saying?
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's the case as long as this creature is there. As long as this creature is grappled to you. Also, although this is a little strange, but when you are grappled by this creature, you're actually restrained, not grappled. Has a similar effect, but what it means is that, in addition to having a 0 speed, it means that attack rolls against the creature, against you, have advantage, and your attack rolls have disadvantage, but you can't have double disadvantage. So you were already miserable. So this thing still counteracts this situation. The other thing, though, is that you have disadvantage on dexterity saving throws if that comes up, so long as you are restrained. So other than that, but yes, Inga can certainly move into a flank position, I think, and that's exactly what Tawny's doing with Bolo. So I mean, you could certainly do that if you want.
So, and what I'm wondering is, so obviously you can't contribute to a flank by being restrained, right?
Right.
So I'm not thinking of River doing that in this instance, but I am thinking of Stone and Inga. Essentially, what I'm like, yeah, I'm just trying to think of like whether River would shout direction towards both.
It's
of
up to
them
you
in
because
terms
Stone's
of-
up next. So
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I think River, because there's no other action I can take except try to get free, right?
I mean, I suppose I don't. I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess because you don't have any the song stuff. I don't believe you have any. Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, not really. I guess not.
Okay, great. I think. Yeah, I think no, I think River is actually going to not try to get free since she can still attack, and on the same logic of like if she is the one being restrained, then the others can move in. I think she's just going to actually having attacked, just going to shout to Stone, Inga, like as a direction to Stone to kind of move into a flanking position with Inga.
Okay.
And kind of circle with her.
Okay,
So,
and Stone does that. So basically what you're saying is Inga's going to deal with her own vulture, and Stone's going to be trying to deal with that vulture that's dealing with Inga, right? And you're going to deal with your own vulture. Okay.
Yes.
Everyone's got their own vulture. That's
Everyone's
got to be
got
a
their own
saying.
vulture.
Everyone for their own vulture.
In calligraphy.
Yeah, that would be great.
actually, so because Inga is dealing with a vulture right now. That's
Yes.
right.
Everybody
and so
is.
Stone is going to go to help
It's a
her.
vulture-rich environment. Okay.
Great. And because the vulture is currently on River, she can so
She can shout the
River-
order, but she can't
Yeah.
move herself. Yeah.
Exactly. So Stone can get to that vulture on his turn. no
Yes,
problem?
I would say so. Yes. It's a lot of confusion, a lot of feathers and squawking and stench. So yes, I would say so. So you
Okay.
want Stone to get off that attack then, assuming they're in that flank position because
Yes.
Stone is up. So now this creature is currently it's flying around. It's down on the ground dealing with Inga. Now in a lot of cases, this one sort of disengages. But in this particular case, Stone will probably be able to leap up at this creature as it swings in. That's not the case for everybody. That's why Inga couldn't do it last time. But for Stone can kind of do the mighty leap to kind of engage the creature. The other thing is, too, I don't think the issue of being... I think what I'm going to say for this is that if you want, you can have Stone, you move into the flank, that's fine. But if you want Stone to try to attack to bring this thing down, Stone's thing where you attack and then what I would say about that is you can actually try to make it where Stone would basically overbear this thing onto the ground. So
good. Okay.
how long
Do
it
they count
stays
as-
there is unclear. But
Do they count as medium creatures?
they are... Oh, they have to be medium or less?
Well, for when Stone attacks,
It has to be
he
medium or less,
forces a-
doesn't it? Yeah, no, they're
Yeah.
large. No, never mind then.
The strength saving throw is for medium or less, but I don't know if that
No, you're right. No, they're large, so never mind. Okay, so he can't do that, but he can still jump and attack. So
Okay, great. And my last question on this is, I'm sorry to hold things up. I just it's all set up for understanding where the disadvantage remains or is
Okay.
moved. If Stone's moving into a flank, does that mean that he and Inga both get the disadvantage canceling advantage of flank, or is
on
it
this
only
particular creature, yes, until such time as one of them becomes grappled or something, in which case they won't be able to do that.
Okay.
Inga's currently not grappled.
Great. Okay, so that being said, that means Stone is at normal advantage.
Just
as he
just
does-
normal, not advantage. at all,
Normal,
just-
sorry,
yeah.
exactly. Not advantage. Is attacking normal.
Yes.
Despite misery, he is charged with new purpose, bounding towards Inga and this vulture, and he leaps up and does a tremendous bite.
Is Stone inspired by your song?
Good question. I always forget this. Does Stone get a D8?
Sure.
Yay! Okay.
Why not?
I'm gonna add that because I don't think a 15 hits, right?
So yeah, well, so I was gonna say, I think you get to know the result, you get to know the number, right? And then we add the advantage after that. So I won't tell you whether it hits or not. You tell me whether, because you have to tell me first if you're gonna use this advantage.
Yeah,
No,
if I had
okay.
memory of the previous session, I
Okay.
feel like I would know. But oh god, I don't know. I don't have memory of. Can I not tap into my memory of the previous?
Tap
You
into
could-
my memory. You can, but
look in the chat. Scroll
Oh,
up to
that's
my
true.
last hit.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
you're tapping
it's
into
just that,
Roll20's memory.
yeah, the last time, I mean, Stone did hit, but he had rolled a 22.
No, look at my last attack from the last session.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, you succeeded with is that a 13?
Mm-hmm.
That succeeded, and you could do that.
Wait,
Okay.
wait. You hit on a
Oh, but-
13?
Oh, sorry. Wait, it's isn't it? That says 7 and 13.
Yeah, 7 and 13. Then I added a D8 or 2, which was 15.
Oh, okay. I was gonna
Oh,
say
that's
not a
a-
which
13 on
she
its
just,
own.
which Stone rolled was
Okay.
a 15.
That's true. Thank you, Tran. Thank you. Okay.
Yes.
So
So a
yes.
15 does indeed hit. When you
I'm
said
gonna
13, I'm like, wait, what?
Okay, that's
So,
great.
yeah,
Then
15 does hit.
yeah. Hooray! So I'm adding this. So I'm gonna. Here's the damage.
And this one's
Plus
fresh,
the-
remember, because Inga missed it, and so this one was not yet damaged. Until
So
now.
That plus I'm gonna roll the d8.
Okay.
So that is 9 damage. 9
All
piercing.
right. It takes that, and sort of gives an angry cry and
No,
shakes.
I thought they were silent.
Shakes to. Oh, that's right. Silently opens its mouth as if it were cawing. But it does shake off
Not even a
stone.
hiss.
Emitting. No, there wasn't a hiss from these ones. There was a hiss from other shadowy like things elsewhere, but not this one. So yeah, in fact, that's one of the disturbing things about these creatures is the fact that they are so silent, other than just the sound of like the feathers moving and so forth. All right, stone does the deed. The creature is hit and does not like it. And stone then is going to stay in that relative flank position with Inga, I assume.
Yes.
Okay, and that means it is now the turn for the vultures. So it is their turn now. They will begin. Let's see. So the one that is currently, I'm going to start with that one actually on stone. It is going to turn towards stone, open its mouth, and it spews forth something onto that creature. So I need stone to make a dexterity saving throw for me, please.
Okay. Are these at disadvantage?
So being miserable, I believe. Actually, no. Let me check.
That's charisma checks.
Yeah, charisma checks fail. No, you're right. Of course, it only affects combat.
Yeah, so it wouldn't affect saving throws. So yeah, so will not be a disadvantage here. Although if you had been grappled, it would have been. See, that's why I wanted. I mean, restrained rather. It would have been. So.
Ooh.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Wow.
Well.
Truly incredible. Yeah, that's not great.
So.
Oh, Stone, you're so good. Such a good boy.
Stone. All right. Stone is going to be hit by this stuff. Let's see. Whoa.
Again, it totally makes sense. I mean, he's chomping on. He's not letting go. He's not just. Oh.
He takes 21 points of acid damage as the creature just spews all over. You see his fur sizzling. You hear it kind of whimpers and falls back.
Oh my god!
As this terrible thing hits it. So I think he's at 3 out of 32 if I've got him right, because that was a lot of damage. Damage was very, very powerful. And then swoops away in its vulture-like way. Now we have the ones that, so there's that one. Now we have the one that is on the river, is going to attack the river, not by disgorging its contents of its stomach, but are going to attack you first, let's see, with its talons. So it's going to try to strike at you with a 21.
I presume that hits, but I don't know what I've forgotten what my AC is in the fancy armor.
Right, your AC.
18?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
So it would hit.
Okay.
So that is going to do. Okay, so that is right. So that's going to be. It's going to be 12 points of damage that it does. Of piercing damage, this is. Actually, slashing damage. I take that back. And the way it has it done, too, is that it has one talon upon you, and it swipes with its other talon, basically, while it's holding onto your arm. And you feel the kind of, as you're being pulled forward almost off your feet by the strength of this thing. Then it tries to hit you with its beak.
Ah! Okay.
Yeah, this thing is powerful.
Oh!
Well, so it critically hits, and it's going to do 16 points of piercing damage.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm at 2 points.
Yeah. These things are rough. And again, just this incredible strength of these things. However, remember, you do have dwarf allies as well who are also fighting and are trying to do what they can. Okay, now the one that is grappling on Tani is going to do the same thing. Is going to attack first of all with talon. Oh, and is it going to let you go? No, it's going to stay attached to you, River. Now it's going to attack Tani. The vulture that's on Tani is going to start with its talons, but is going to get an 11. I don't think that's going to get the job done. And then the second one is with its beak, and that is going to be a 15. No. So kind of dodge back and forth. It stays grappled with you. So let's see. We got the one on stone. We got those two. Okay, we have two more. One is going to come in on one of the dwarves. Is going to miss twice. Apparently it saved all of the attacks for stone in the river. And this last one is going to come down on you, Bolo. And is going to swing its way around on Bolo. Is going to come in and is going to... This is the other one that hasn't yet disgorged. So it is going to disgorge or attempt to the contents of its stomach upon you. So I need you to make a...
uncanny dodge.
I need you to make a dexterity saving throw, Bolo.
Saving throw. 14.
14. Just. Like you literally dodge as it like... Now, you still get hit by some of it, but not as much as you would have otherwise. So... let's see the damage that we get. That is going to be... Yeah, so you're actually only going to take 6 acid damage from that, which is a lot better on a roll than what I rolled for the river's damage.
Why are these vultures not peacefully seeking carrion? Why are they?
I think they see you as the carrion.
You're trying to
We're
make
not.
Your potential
Nuts.
carrion. Your future, the carrion yet to come is what you are, as they see it. Okay. And on the back of one of them, Furball lets out a shout of, yes! And points his finger down on you as these things circle around. Okay. Now the dwarves go. Oh, no, Bolo goes first, then the dwarves. So, Bolo, you have a chance now to do your thing. Now, the one that tried to disgorge did it and then, like, veered off out of the way using its fell speed. So, it is currently not in range of a melee attack, although, you know. And also, you've got the one that's on Tani that is grappled and that Tani is yelling at you, get it off, I assume, or something like that.
Do you get to sneak attack on the thing that is focused
on the one
Tani?
that focused on Tani? 100%, yes.
Oh man,
Yep.
amazing.
Yeah, so I think I'm not going to go after him, but how badly damaged is the vulture that Furball is currently?
It is fairly damaged, actually. That one looks pretty hurt.
And the one that's on Tani?
The one that's on Tani is somewhat hurt. Not as much as the one. Furball's vulture is the one that's least hurt. Sorry, completely wrong. Most hurt. And then the one on Tani is definitely hurt, but not as much.
Yeah. I wouldn't get a sneak attack on the one that Furball is riding. So I'm going to go for the one on Tani.
Okay.
I'm going to inspire this.
Triffid has already, I believe, although
Hooray!
it doesn't seem like it's
You're right.
like it's working. Hold on, let me see if you have it though.
Well, if Bolo and Tani are flanking,
Oh, well.
Yeah, I may not even need it. Because Bolo's not miserable either, so...
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Damn it, Shadow.
I was still like, but you can't, I don't think you can provide a flank if you are restrained.
right? Because I can't threaten because I'm restrained.
Exactly,
Very good.
yeah.
Oh,
So-
I know why. Triffid, you have an inspiration that you got from your channel points, but I thought you might have used that already, Triffid. I don't know for sure. Because I think you used it right when you got it. Like, you got it and then used it, I thought. You jokingly inspired Marley for Christmas Carol. Can I have that back? Is that why? Okay. So, yes, you can have that back. I will give that to you. But in the meantime, you may not even need it for this particular one because of what Tren was just saying.
No, I think, no, we're wrong, because
Because Tawny's restrained, so he can't threaten the vulture.
Well, I don't know if it needs that. It says if another target is within 5
Yeah, he doesn't
feet.
need that. This isn't about your thing. This is about the fact that Bolo has got an ally right within range. The sneak, it's because of the rogue's awesome sneak attack.
Its attention is
Sneak-
occupied.
The sneak attack and the advantage on the attack are two different things.
Right. Yeah, we were talking about giving Bolo advantage. So.
Oh, okay. Well,
I mean, there are cases where I need advantage for the sneak attack, but not in this particular case.
Yeah, I think that in this case, though, you do. 'Cause
Advantage still helps.
you rolled 14 and 21. I think only the 21 hits.
That's dexterity. I haven't
Oh,
rolled
it's
yet.
Never mind. You haven't rolled yet. Okay, sorry. I saw a roll and.
Wait to see
never
if I
mind.
have it or not.
so, right. So you've got...
DM's call.
Yeah, I mean... So the sneak attack would be. Right, you don't need it. You don't need advantage on the attack roll. Right. So the question is whether you're going to get advantage at all. If so, it's the question if you get advantage or not. Yeah. So then I guess because he can't. I don't actually. I think that you do get. I think you can threaten this creature, Trent. You are not. You are able to attack it, and you are directly
That's
occupying its attention. That you're not like you're not incapacitated. That would be something creating threat. You are threatening this thing directly. That's why you can hit it. So I think that you. I think you do get. I think you do get advantage for a flank on this Bolo, which means that you can. Get advantage, which means you'll get the sneak attack bonus. That's what this.
Okay, so I just want
damage.
to clarify that like this was what I was asking as well with mine, but it's fine. Like
I can attack, but I have disadvantage because I'm restrained.
you have disadvantage, exactly. As in my situation when I was asking about Stone and flanking and stuff, like I was specifically saying Stone go flank with Inga because
Right.
I thought that he couldn't flank with me, which is what he normally would be doing because I was restrained. So that's what I was saying.
I thought. Okay, I didn't realize that.
I'm
No,
fine
you can
with
absolutely.
keeping
No, you
that.
can absolutely
Yeah.
do that. I just thought you
Okay.
were sending him elsewhere because that way you could work more efficiently with Inga.
That also totally
That's
works.
all. No,
But
I
so,
wasn't
like,
restraining keeping you
okay.
from doing that. No, that's fine.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
So
So that's
good
the
to
deal
know.
with that. So Bolo, you do have advantage on this thing because of the flank.
Okay.
So so you don't have to worry about that Triffid yet.
Okay.
Basically,
You
Here
can
we go.
stay inspired and use it for a later point.
that's true. You
True.
could use it for later.
One other piece of metagaming,
16.
which is I won't. Yeah.
Yep. 16 is going to hit. Go ahead, Trin.
Did Bolo see the harfing coming?
Yes, because of why? Because of uncanny dodge, or because of
Yes.
uncanny dodge.
Yeah.
But but that's already covered by the dexterity. I mean, like he can't really half a half. Like he already ducked out of the way. Basically, uncanny dodge doesn't half what is left. So, but yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying though.
There's only 6 anyway, and I choose which attack to dodge essentially.
Okay. So, what are we looking at? So, is that we got his
21.
21 damage? Very nice. Okay.
Woohoo!
Powerful blow on the one that was on him. Okay, that one looks now pretty hurt. As I completely forget how to do math. There we go. Yeah, now that actually looks now more hurt than the one Furbal's on. So, and you can, you get this, there's just this slamming, there's this terrible crunching sound. Tani, you kind of move back a little bit from the force of the blow, and then you see Bolo kind of ducking out of the way. There's also an acidic smell as of vomit somewhere around too. You don't know what that's about. Okay, Bolo.
The Skeksis that has the drool
Yep,
hanging on it.
yep. It's totally what they feel like. So, Bolo, are you staying in the relative like area of where you are, like kind of dancing around near Tani, or?
Yeah. I'm just kind of being wary of the vultures, being ready to move and help as needed.
Okay. All right. So that leads to the dwarves. The dwarves get off their attacks. 2 of them actually hit this one vulture that they're dealing with. So, and it seems fairly solid blows on that one. So there's 4 of the 5 vultures remaining. 4 of them are hurt. 2 of them pretty badly. And so the dwarves do their work, and that leads us to Inga, who is being played for us today by Amal. So, Inga, you've got the one that is now flanking with Stone, basically.
Yes. So I think Inga is just going to go in with her axe with bright edge.
Okay.
And I believe
Just a
she
regular
gets-
roll, because it cancels the
Yeah.
miserable. So,
exactly, and she also gets 2 attacks, I think, right?
Yep.
So I'm going to go in with that twice. So that looks like what not great. 14 and a 5.
the first
She
one
used
was
her D8, right?
Oh, yes, hooray! And she gets to use a D8.
Did she?
So
Yeah,
I'll-
she was the one who didn't use the DA yet. So
Yeah, exactly. So I'll do the D8 on the first one.
Okay.
And
What you roll, it still hits. It still hits.
It just hits.
That's great. It's great. We work as a team. Great.
This is what
so,
you get when you don't play your character. Someone else has to. No.
Yeah.
How do you use this axe?
So here we go. So that'll be
Nice!
Wow. Okay, there you go.
Right, inshallah. Okay, that's 14 slashing damage.
That is good. Okay, let's see. And that was the one that Stone had already hit.
Yep.
Okay, that one is starting to look pretty messed up now, too. All of them are starting to look kind of messed up during your rounds of attacks. Okay, good stuff out of Inga. In the end, thanks to the inspiration. Inga's going to stay in the flank with Stone, I assume, as well.
Wait, this was not inspiration, right? This was the advantage from the flank canceling out misery.
Right.
So sorry. Yeah, I think she's going to stay on this one, even though Stone is very, very hurt.
Okay, that's going to lead us to Tawny, and the river will be back on deck in a minute. Tawny, you are up. This one is still on you, that has been struck a mighty blow by Bolo.
And I'm going to try to beat the crap out of him.
Okay.
And this is since I'm restrained at disadvantage. So, I'll take
Oh, well, it wouldn't have mattered. Anyway, it just grabs
It's
your
sort of a
staff in
relief.
its beak. Like,
I find it always sort of a relief when you're rolling with a disadvantage and both rolls are terrible.
Yeah, you're like,
it's just
yeah.
great, you know.
The dice knew.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Tawny, do you want to continue to remain grappled with it, or are you going to try to break free of it?
No, I'm gonna hold on to it.
Okay. Still kind of going back and forth. I feel like the vultures at this point are well, I mean, they could release at any time, but some of them are getting smacked around while you're holding
He's
them.
trying to use his staff, so it's probably got a hold of his staff, and they're just
It's just
wrestling
like,
back and forth.
It's like, man. Okay, back to the top of the round. River is up. Okay, River, you are still grappled and miserable. What would you like to do?
Grappled and miserable. Gosh, grappled and miserable. You know, okay, well,
You're miserable.
I'm at 2 hit points.
Indeed.
And, grappled and miserable. What I'm wondering is it time? Is it time now to use Flame of Hope? Yeah. I think. Oh God, I'm sorry. I keep thinking I'm gonna actually get a hold on this and stuff. I just need to remember whether Flame of Hope is the only action I take on a turn, or if I can combine it with an attack. I'm pretty sure it's the only action, but I just
Flame
want
of
to
Hope
double
is that way, but I will.
Because and this is, I think, the difference. I'm just gonna if I articulate it out loud for chat, maybe it will help. All of my Warden's Gift actions are bonus actions. I'm pretty sure Flame of Hope, which is a consequence of runes etched into my axes by the dwarves, is its own all-encompassing action. Pretty sure, but I just would like to double check.
Flame of Hope is let's see. Wait, why do I not have Flame of Hope here? Runes of Victory, Gleam of Terror. Oh, there's Flame of Hope. I got it. Yeah, you may take an action. So it is an action, and then you have to take a long rest before you can invoke it again.
Exactly, right.
Okay, yeah,
and I haven't done it yet. So, great. So I think...
I mean, there may be a good time for it. Like, I mean,
yeah, this is... Okay, so here's... So River is grappled by this vulture, this terrifying creature, has, I think, heard Stone yelping in pain from something that she can't see from her supine position, and is aware that she is at the basically end of her rope here, and doesn't think she can kill this creature with another blow, and is miserable, and is
despite
absolutely...
the gleaming armor.
Despite the gleaming armor that she has put on at a sort of great emotional cost, is just going to, using her arms, which are still free, instead of hacking at the vulture, she's going to clang her axes together, and with a fierce, furious, despairing shout, going to invoke Flame of Hope. And the axes glow brilliantly and ring out over distance, and allies all gain inspiration and heal 1d6 plus 3.
Good
We
stuff.
roll that or do you?
You roll that. Rather,
Oh, I have to roll that?
River rolls that. Yep.
Oh,
This is your inspiration.
Everybody gets the same amount.
Yeah. What power
Okay.
chord are you gonna make to make this happen, River? Like.
Inshallah.
A sharp.
Nice.
Yeah, I always think of River with minor keys. So this is 1d6. What did I get there? That was a 4 plus 3, so everyone heals 7.
Okay, give me a
and-
second.
And gains inspiration. Do I heal that? Can you tell me that from the?
No, all of your allies specifically
All my
says.
allies.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
7, you say.
everyone gains 7 back, you said? So,
Yep.
all right, Bolo's at 43. Stone is at 10. And Inga is at 63. And Tani is at 50. Oh, back to full, I think.
Back to full.
Yeah. Convenient. I love the idea that the vulture that's grappling you, like you get this inspiration and you're just like feeling strong, and the vulture's like, it's like,
That's all I gotta do, man.
we're holding the thing, and Tony's just like,
and the vulture can't actually say anything, you know.
I'm just trying to get. Oh, here we go. And I wanted to double check something about. Yeah, that you had anyone been frightened, they would also have lost frightened. But I don't think anyone was. So I'm the only one who is frightened here. Me personally, the player.
I actually, you know what? I am going to say that is going to cancel out the miserable conditions because the misery comes from the fear that was put upon you. So I actually am going to argue that does free Stone from misery. And it's also going to free, it's not going to free you for the reasons we've discussed because you're not an ally, but it's going to free, anything that came from that sound, which I think was Inga, Tawny, and Stone, I believe.
Clifford.
And yeah, now, well, Clifford is not affected by the, well, you'll see. We'll talk.
He's actually an enemy. Gotcha. Okay.
Clifford is actually Clifford the Terrible. No, he's not. Clifford the Baneful. All right.
That would be a horrible twist.
Okay. So, all right, good stuff. So that was a valuable use of a once per long rest ability. Okay, so you did that. You still got the 2 points. Are you going to try to take your movement to break free from this grapple or not, River?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then what I need you to do is to make a strength check. And because you are still miserable, this is going to be affected by that. Oh my goodness, Dragon Spear with the tier 2 sub, which means Dragon does get that extra inspiration.
Hey.
I
thought you said that strength check, like I thought the miserable was only for combat, not for not for regular checks.
This is in combat though.
Is it in combat? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So
But anyway, you don't. I mean, regardless, it's. Okay. So Dragon. Actually, before I add this, Dragon Spear. Do you want to inspire? I know, Dragon Spear. Do you? I just asked. Do you want to inspire the river then, Dragon? Is that what I'm getting from this? So that this grapple then would just be at normal. This attempt to get out of the grapple is it normal? I think that's why Dragon was talking about this, was so that he can inspire you. Yes, okay. So you've been inspired by Dragon Spear. Thank you, Dragon.
Dragon Spear, thank you.
Dragon Spear is Amal's personal spirit animal for all this, right? You know. Okay. So yes, go ahead and make a regular strength check. And I should, and I'll take athletics too if you have it, River.
I'll do athletics instead. I did a saving throw instead.
Yes, so definitely don't do that. Complete check.
Much better.
All right, let's see how it does. Nope, not enough. All right, so you break clear of it.
Oh wait, no, never mind. It's just not. It's not actual advantage. It's just normal.
Okay, yeah. So you break clear from it.
Oh, I do. Okay, sorry. I thought you were saying the opposite.
No, I just, but you do actually. So good work. You break free from it, and the creature sort of like, its beak opens silently at you, but it is now, you are now free from it. But your whole movement was taken in getting clear, so you don't have anything left there. So Stone is up.
Stone is up. So Stone is
flanking with Inga at the moment.
Flanking with Inga, which means he actually does get advantage, not just canceling out now that he and Inga are no longer miserable.
Yep.
So both, so he's going to brilliantly, bravely, beautiful stone, who is
He can
in
do it.
so much pain and so sizzled, is going to, with his whole heart, going to
Attack.
I recommend using his mouth.
Yes, that would be a good idea.
yes. That's a 16.
That will definitely hit. Also, I want to note, by the way, just so we put this out in the universe, that the only reason this worked was because the misery arose in this particular case from a fear effect that this creature caused. Not that normally your hope thing would do anything against misery of like Bolo's variety. Okay,
exactly.
So I just want to be clear about that. Okay, yes, so that is hit.
I love that. Actually,
Go
I
ahead
think
and
that's a
do
very
damage.
generous DM roll.
You are heroes.
Affirmation.
So,
So that is 8 piercing.
okay.
And yeah.
That was the one that both of you had hit before. Okay, that one is now looking exceedingly hurt. Between both Inga and Stone double teaming this thing. Okay, and Stone is going to remain in that flank, yes? Continue or not?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So the creature is then going to turn around. You'll be happy to know that it will not disgorge its contents of its stomach because it's already done that. But although, but it is not going to do that again. It is going to attack with its talons and beak against Stone. So it will start with a talon attack of 13.
Does not hit.
Okay, and then it's going to attack with its beak and critically miss. So that's so much for that. It's going to bang its beak into the ground or something. All right, Stone dodges out of the way, mostly because Stone's inspiration. The acid's still on its skin, on his fur, but the gray light of the waste still somehow sparkling off of
I
him.
didn't even use his inspiration. I didn't even think about that. Because he rolled 16 just... Sorry, he was already at advantage.
Right.
But he is inspired. I forgot.
That is
Thank
good
you.
to remember.
Good to remember.
Okay, so that one was a miss on Stone. Now we're going to get the one that is attacking you. Even though you're not grappled by it, it's going to come back and try to deal with you, River. So it is going to swoop in for the attack. First with Talon. That is a 15.
Nope.
And the second one is an 8. Okay, so 2 misses. So you all sort of warded off. This is the part of the basketball game where the other side is beginning to hit threes, from a distance with no problem.
She's a warden. That's why I warded it off.
Yeah, that's a good call. And now the one that's attacking you, Bolo, does not attempt to disgorge its contents of its stomach, but is going to attack you with with talon and beak. It's going to begin by critically hitting you, so it comes back on you with its talon. It's critically hits you. So that means 2 things. It means, first of all, that you're going to take... Oh, there's the damage roll that wasn't there before. 12 damage from the of slashing damage, sorry. And you are now grappled, which means restrained by this thing, Bolo. And this thing, because of your size, I'm going to need you, please, to make for me a strength saving throw, because it's trying to pull you off the ground. Couldn't do that with the river with Matani, but it might be able to with you.
What am I doing? Strength?
Strength saving
You
throw.
also remember
Yes.
that you have inspiration to use if you want it.
True.
And that would give me the D8.
No, that just gives you advantage.
Yeah, Yeah, exactly. You would get advantage on this check if you wanted. As it silently tries to pull you off the ground with its talons.
You know what? I think it'd be pretty bad if that happened. So I'm going to use it on this one.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Makes sense. That's a good thing that you did that. So you managed to pull free, and there's yeah, exactly.
I will sort of uncanny dodge as well for the attack, as it's like grappling me to take half.
Oh, on that one
I
that it did
Flame
before?
of Hope, and my husband brought me tea.
Oh, very nice. Okay, so instead of taking 12, you take 6, then, Bolo, on that first attack. Now, it's going to attack again. I think you can only uncanny dodge once a turn, right? So this one is with its beak. This one probably doesn't... 15? Oh, no, 14? 14? No, 15. Sorry, 15. Does 15 hit by chance?
15, I am at a 17 armor class.
Okay, so it misses. Good stuff. Well, that was a clutch... a clutch time to use that inspiration. Okay, so you are not drawn from the ground, but you are grappled by this thing nonetheless. Okay. And now the one that's on the dwarves hits. One of the dwarves looks to be in pretty bad shape. Not Domi, but one of the other ones looks to be.
Do the
pretty
dwarves
hurt.
all have inspiration?
they're too far away. This is within I
Oh.
think 30 feet of you, right? And the
Is
dwarves
it-
are a
okay.
little farther away because the dwarves
okay.
were affected initially. So
Okay.
sadly not. But they seem to be, trying to do their best to hold their own. And finally, the one that's Furball is on. Have we had the one that attacked you yet, Tani? I don't think we've had your attack yet, right? So let's do the
Not
one
this
with
round.
you first. That is going to be a 17 and a 16. So a 17 for the talons, a 16 for the beak.
Okay.
Okay. 17 for the talons is going to be 7 points of damage. And for the beak, let's see, that was slashing damage, and this for the beak is 14 piercing damage. The beak really right into your shoulder, puncture wound. So 31.
31.
Yeah. Okay. And then Furball brings one around, and okay. Now, River, this is going to have an impact on you. Actually, let me set up the scene. Furball is on the back of the vulture that hasn't acted yet, and Furball circles around and then basically sort of drops its wings into a plunge, sort of like rakes it backwards, and dives directly down. Now, here's the
Furls its
scenario, and
wings.
here are the people who are in a position to do anything about it. It's coming directly at you, River. The dwarves are too far away, and both Tani and Bolo are both grappled, thus restrained. They can't do anything about this. That means there are two choices, which is that it's either going to hit you directly or it's going to hit Stone. Now, I am going to argue that Stone, unless you you could try to shout a command at Stone if you want, not to do this. But what Stone looks like he's going to try to do is basically going to try to throw his body in between the vulture and you.
No!
No guarantee that he's going to listen to you, but you could try to yell at him not to do that if you want. But he has more hit points than you.
Yeah, no, but I mean, no. And there's no right, River just can't actually move out of the way or
No.
anything. I'm trying to think if River would even be aware of Stone moving towards her to do this.
Not necessarily. The thing that it's more that you see. There's that moment, that cinematic moment, right, where you see the diving, the vulture diving down, and then you see Stone, legs kind of galloping out of the, towards you is basically what it's like. Now, I will say also that you do have another vulture which is currently grappling you. This thing could
I'm
possibly
afraid
hit you and the vulture, maybe. But the point is, it's diving. Furball's vulture is diving right at you.
Right. I'm not grappled anymore though. I got out.
Oh,
of
that's
it.
true. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're not. So you could theoretically try to. Yeah. So the same thing applies. It's going to try to hit you. So you
Okay.
can try to make a saving throw to avoid it. I forgot that you weren't grappled. Sorry, but
Okay.
either way, the question is, if you miss, this thing's going to hit you, and
Right.
Stone otherwise is going to try to leap in the way. Otherwise, unless you make some unless you convince him not to, basically on the fly. So
Yeah. So here, okay, River would, if she had any means of not letting Stone do that, she would not let Stone do that, essentially. But I'm having difficulty imagining it as a command she would give him, as opposed to just
I have a what they would call in Blades in the Dark a devil's bargain for you. Then
Okay, all
I
right.
love these.
and
I
it goes
love
like this. You see Stone. You pulled yourself out. You see the thing coming at you, Furball laughing on the back of this creature, and you look over to see Stone has kind of seen the danger and is broken free of the flank and is with Inga and is galloping towards you. What I will allow you to do is I'll allow you to try to basically make this saving throw and throw yourself at Stone at the same time, but you're
Yep.
going to be at disadvantage for that. And if you miss,
Yes.
you run the risk of both you and Stone being affected by this.
Oh, and Stone? No. That.
Because you're throwing your body into him, right? So
All right. All right.
And not being mean, but I'm not going to give you much time
I
for this
know.
call because you're.
I
in the
know.
midst of combat.
Well, a question I have. So it has to be at disadvantage. This is not a disadvantage that can be abetted by.
Yes,
an
this is
inspiration.
not a disadvantage that I'm going to allow to be countered. That's right.
Right. And I mean, I just want to talk out the thing. From River's
Sure.
point of view, she's wearing this fantastic armor. Even though she is like battered to a pulp inside it, the whole point of wearing this armor is to protect the other members of her party.
Fair.
And she like so. This is the thing. The part of the devil's bargain that I wish to address is that like essentially, like just. Is there a way for River to just kind of take the saving throw onto herself and stuff like that in a way that would just leave Stone out of the equation? That's what I'm wondering. Like she just to be able to take it on and assume the entire risk. And
Yes, it means that you're going to automatically fail your own saving throw, though. So it means you just take the hit.
Oh God.
But I do appreciate the fact that Effect Life and Triffid are like, can we inspire? I'm like, normally you folks absolutely could, but this is one that I'm ruling has to be done at disadvantage. These creatures are moving with fell speed, and there's other circumstances involved. So. Okay.
Yeah. I think River just wants to protect everyone. The whole point of putting on this armor was to protect people, and that's what she's there for.
Okay.
So I would love to leave it up to the dice at disadvantage, but not like but like I can't square it in my head with her possibly still hurting Stone if that happens.
Okay. So River stands as the it basically like declare like sort of stands in front. Stone is galloping, sort of, River moves around, like, holds up a hand to interpose between Stone and this creature, and this thing's down. And then there's a moment where you all sort of see these things happening, and then there is this flying, like hitting the side of this creature is an axe, which has been thrown from considerable distance, and just hits this thing's and hits the ground. Furball goes flying off it and lands on the ground. And standing up, you can see that the person who threw it was actually one of the dwarves next to Domi. And he pays dearly for it, because a second later, the vulture basically pierces him through the neck. He just basically dropped all his defenses to do this. So the dwarf drops to the ground with a cry. The vulture is on the ground. Stone sort of arrives a second later looking rather confused, because like the creature that was supposed to be jumping at isn't there. So you are now standing above this downed vulture, which is not dead but is exceedingly hurt, like a stiff wind would blow it over. Also, Furball is lying motionless on the ground as well. And you're next to them, River, so I'm just letting you know those circumstances. This may or may not have an effect depending on what you do with Furball and the vulture when we get to your turn. And the dwarf is, clearly dead.
Okay.
So,
oh my God!
Now, not Domi, but the one of the other dwarves.
We'll get to him.
Wait, I just need to know, was it the one who was really grumpy about the armor?
Yes.
Ah! No!
It's funny you mentioned that. Yes. Okay. So
What he gets.
Yeah, this is what you get for being grumpy. You get a brave moment of sacrifice. Okay. Anyway. Okay. Bolo, you are up. So, just to kind of set the scene, one vulture that is on the ground. You just saw all this happen, but you are grappled and you got your own problems because you got a vulture that you're dealing with right now as well. So you could try to break free from the grapple if you wish. That's using all your movement. You could do that and then still attack, or you could attack and stay grappled with it, which is what Tani chose to do. So it's up to you, Bolo, how you want to handle this.
All right, I definitely want to try to break free, and I'm not liking being in this thing's grasp. Does this help at all?
Alert you to dangerous situations.
Avoidance.
No, this is not a trap or other peril, but that is good to know as far as that's concerned. But no, this is not a trap. You very clearly see the circumstances. You perceive the problem, which is that this talon is wrapped around your arm.
I'm sorry. That's not what I wanted.
Oh, you didn't. It wasn't avoidance you wanted to tell me.
It wasn't that one.
I think I know the one you're talking about. I can't remember the name of it either. It's easily confused with avoidance.
It's
Yeah,
the,
I don't know, to be honest.
disengage. Where did it go?
Okay. We're gonna
No.
put
It's,
your-
I mean, your cunning action will allow you to disengage.
Is it you're talking about cunning action? Yeah, that's that the disengage requires you to get free of the restrain though. This is not just engaged. You are literally held by this thing.
so then
Taloned by it.
disengage would allow me to break away a few feet or whatever without being attacked.
If you were right, if you were just in normal combat, but like not actually physically being held in place. That's why you need to do the strength
how do I
check for
break
this.
free?
Just a strength check is what you do with this. It's basically an opposed strength check.
Oh, and so the reason the strength save that I made last time was just to not be lifted off the ground.
Correct. This is a strength check to kind of actively pull free.
Oh, check.
That other one
that's-
was, oh God, I'm going to be, drawn off the ground.
Okay, here we go.
You are very much
What does it
maintained.
get? What does the vulture get?
This makes sense.
Does it get a 1? Correct?
So you pull free and it sadly did not get a 1. You try to pull free and it just like one of those things where you
I just do like
slide
this.
it down into your wrist. You're like, oh God.
Okay.
All right, but you can attack it though. That's the good news.
I can't do much of a sling, so I'm pulling my dagger and I'm
Okay.
Oh, you can still use your sling, I think.
Well, not if you're right up on top of it.
okay.
You'd be doing that roll. would be
It's a
problematic.
flail at that point.
Fair.
yeah.
It's like whacking it with the string.
16.
Yeah, 16 will hit.
Nice.
Okay, let's see. That one. Okay, yeah, that one is almost dead, Bolo. You have damaged it. These things are, it looks pretty messed up. Still holds on to you, but is kind of like its wings kind of flap at your face, and again the stench of this creature.
Let me go, you rotten bird.
Damn it. Okay. Good stuff. I'm not going to ask you where you're going to move because we already talked about that. Okay, that leaves us. The one dwarf is left, so Domi runs over to sort of see with his fallen comrade. The other dwarf comes over to attack the vulture, which is on it, and is going to hit.
This is the vulture that's like in front of River now?
No, this is I'm talking about the one over with the dwarves. This is the
okay,
vulture
okay.
that's over there, the one that just downed the guy who threw the axe to save you. And so he goes over. He's going to hit that guy. Yeah, a lot of these vultures are looking pretty messed up now. Actually, you've all done some good work. It's just all been very balanced, like among all of the vultures. Okay, and that leads us to Inga, who is facing a very hurt vulture.
Yes. So did you say that Stone ran over to me, or did he actually
Stone. Yes, Stone has arrived at you. So currently not in a flank.
Okay.
With you.
So I'm gonna have Inga use her inspiration to attack this one in front of her.
Okay.
So she's going to because I mean I want to try and like play Inga and Inga's mindset and stuff as well. But so I think that she'll have. Oh God, this is the thing where I'm not sure, right? Because obviously she has just seen a dwarf get killed, and I presume she will actually maybe want to run towards it. But there is also a vulture right in front of her that is nearly dead.
Yeah,
so
I think
that,
I don't. I mean, you can tell me. I mean, it's depend what. The
I think
players
she's gonna
but
take out her rage on this.
I would think so. Yeah.
Vulture. So using her inspiration, she's going to attack with her axe, and is going to attack a second time. So the first one is
Was
the
it
19.
advantage, right? So that's 19. Yeah.
Which is also a critical for her.
Oh, it is.
That's
So
right.
it is.
That's
yes,
right.
that's right.
So let's see what damage that does on this already quite hurt creature.
Yeah. So that's the max. I don't know what the max
damage is.
It's it looks like it's is that a D12?
Should be D12, I
Yes.
think. And
Yeah,
then is
so that
two?
should be
So
12
14?
plus 2, so 14.
Yeah. So literally just and just slices the head of this thing clean off its neck. And it just very much like in, Return of the King film version, slices the head of the beast, whatever, and it just and lands and is currently dead. Is permanently dead. There will be no currently dead but could return. No. It's just going to be dead. Okay.
I think with her remaining move, she would actually move toward. So just to get the lay of the land here, because I want to make sure I understand this. So
Sure.
like, dwarf saved River by throwing an axe over
Right.
some distance.
Yep.
And knocked Furball off. Like you told me, like Furball and the vulture are both down.
Correct.
Near
The
River.
vulture is quite hurt, but is still theoretically alive. Furball's not moving, so you don't know.
Okay, but they are some distance away from the dwarf that was then
Yes,
killed.
yes,
And is near
yes.
Domi.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Aaron.
I think. Is that something that Inga can easily see? Does she need to do a perception check to see that what happened with the dwarf?
No, this stuff was all one of those sort of like moments where everyone kind of saw it happening at the same time or
Okay.
similar.
God, this is just one of those things where I'm like, I don't know. I feel sure Inga would go towards a party. I don't know if she would go towards River.
She also
and-
really hated Furball, right?
That's
So I
true.
mean, there's that too. But
You're right. God. Oh, Tari, I wish you were here. Anyway, okay. I think she is going to then like stalk over to Furball, and move in that direction with her axe raised.
okay. When you arrive, make a perception check for Inga for me, please. And Tani's on deck here. 1.21 gigawatts max damage.
Ooh, oh God, what a journey!
Yeah, wow.
Oh my god.
what a path.
What is happening?
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
okay. Just sees that he's that Furball's motionless, and the
Okay.
vulture is badly hurt. Pretty much what I already said.
Can River make a perception check on her turn?
On her turn, certainly.
Okay,
The River can do that.
I just want to remember to do that.
Okay, Tani is going to be up next. No, Aaron, I saw it before. I just hadn't had a chance to comment till now. Okay, Tani, you were up, and there is still a vulture attached to you.
More of the same.
Okay.
Still a disadvantage. 20. No, I mean 11. Sorry.
Yeah, the 11 is not going to hit, sadly.
But wait, no, you have inspiration. You have inspiration from Flame of Hope.
That's true.
Oh, yes. Which you could definitely use if you want, Tani. I mean, normally I wouldn't ex post facto, but that's fine.
Yes, I will.
All right, so then that is a hit with Flame of Hope. So now
For 6 points of
6 points of damage.
blood
Okay.
drain.
This again, it's amazing. It's like you're all evenly spacing out the damage. Like this is also now looking quite hurt, but is not dead yet. Are you pulling away from it now, or still staying grappled with it, Tani?
I'm not only am I staying grappled, I'm trying to hang on to it.
Okay.
And not let it get away.
Actively not let it get away.
Yeah.
Trying to kill all of them in like one single round.
No, it's gonna be one round. Yeah, like, it's amazing. I'm just kind of like watching the numbers
I
drop.
figure what's going to happen is that Inga is going to get to Furball, realize he's already dead, and in absolute sheer rage, she's going to grab the axe that the other dwarf threw. She's going to huck it, and she's going to take off the head of every vulture all the way across the thing.
Right. It's like Rey's triple kill in the Last
Exactly.
Jedi.
I
It's
would,
like,
I would live for it. I would live for it.
Yeah, Trippin says grapple it right back. Like, you grappling me?
Yeah.
No, you're locked in here with me. You know, like that
Exactly.
kind of thing. Okay, good stuff. Back up to the top of the round. I'm going to keep moving this forward. Okay, River. So you were here. This creature, now again, so you don't have a vulture that's currently on you, except for there's the one on the ground that's kind of moving around.
Right.
You said you wanted to do a perception check. I'll let you do that if you want. That's not going to cost your actions. You can do that now.
Roll high.
Allah.
Good advice.
What did I say?
I'm sorry. Listen.
You see exactly what I previously described. So,
Great.
so
Can
it's
Stone
yes.
do a perception check?
Can Stone
Never
do
mind.
it? On Stone's turn, maybe.
Yeah.
But even so, I'm not sure what. Yeah. So the question is, you can go over now. The vulture
You
is
know
kind of
what?
moving, but you could like
Oh,
multiple
yeah, I
things. You could
mean-
do that. You could end the life of Furble if there is any life left. There's multiple things you could do.
I think River is going to like. I think she is still in absolutely like threat detection mode, and so the thing that is moving is the thing that she is going to
Okay.
focus all of her attention on.
And she probably sees Ing ahead and she's like, oh, he's dead. She's gonna go.
And can I? So, I think I am assuming here is that like that Stone is like in a flanking position with her, but because he ran over.
Yeah. I mean, for the one
Okay.
that's on the ground, you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So
And yeah, your disadvantage would be canceled out. So it'd just be a normal attack on this.
exactly.
Thing. Yep.
So River, who is in terrible shape, who is extremely hurt, who is just
Covered in blood
grimly
and feathers and.
dragging herself over to this bird, but not like she is stalking determinedly,
Oh, yeah.
but slowly and she looks fell and dour and grim and like a person who has never met a charisma point in her entire life, and is just going to like loom over this vulture, and with gritted teeth, going to sink her axes into it as hard as she can.
Let's see it happen. I cannot wait for this to
Yeah,
come
inshallah, again. So, Kathunk, that's the one round, and then
Yes, both
Kathunk, the second round.
all hits but the last. So 3 out of 4 hits.
Amazing. Okay, so that's 1 and 2 and 3.
Yeah.
3.
So that is 14. That's 19 damage.
That's a whole lot of dead. Just destroys what's left of the vulture. And as you hit this last one of the vulture, you're able to now see clearly there is a gaping wound as well in Furble, and Furble is definitely not moving. Now is not going to move again. And with and the 3 vultures that are remaining. One of which is grappled with Bolo, one of which is Tani. One of them that's not grappled basically flies off, the dwarf sort of taking a weak swing at it as it goes, and lifts off. The other one releases both Bolo and Tani. Now, I'll allow both of you attacks of opportunity on this thing as it leaves, because its fell speed doesn't count when it's releasing you from a grapple. Tani, I'll come to you because I know you said you wanted to hold on to it, so I'm going to come to you last. Bolo, this one releases you. I didn't get the impression that you wanted to be grappled by it, so I'm going to assume you're cool with it letting you go. Do you want to get an attack on it as it goes?
Yeah, I do try to.
All right.
Is
the
Stone
dagger.
able to attack any of them before they go?
No, because it's near the one where you are.
Gotcha.
So, okay, 12. Wow, you strike it, so it's not enough to kill it, but it like you basically cut into its wing, so it just it sort of like flies very unevenly away, barely getting like lifting. And Tani, now the question is, do you want to? So this thing, what do you want to do? Because it's trying to now break free from your grapple. Are you like, no, stay here? Like, what do you want to do with it?
Well, you betcha.
Okay, so then so go ahead and get your attack of how do I want to do this? Make a strength check then. We're going to see whether you can keep it held.
Oh, this is not going to go well.
Hey!
Yeah, it is. It tries to pull away. So you can get an attack of opportunity against it now, and it's actively trying to pull away from you.
Did I get... Oh, I am going to give you inspiration with my actual native inspiration that
On
I'm
this attack?
giving.
Okay,
Yes.
you may do so.
Hey, so it's Inspire Tani.
Okay. What do we got? 14? Not quite enough. So
Damn it!
you kind of swing at it, but I mean, you still have it grappled. And now the question I have for you is, I actually am not going to keep us in initiative. I don't necessarily want to keep us initiative. I want to know what your plan is with this, Tani. Do you want to just keep wailing away at it until it's dead, theoretically?
He's pretty focused on killing this thing.
Well,
Okay.
can I suggest if, like, because it is in initiative, it would be Stone's go. And he's looking for ones that are still available.
So if Stone
attack.
wants to gallop over there, basically, and run over,
And rip
I'll
his
let
head
Stone
off.
do that. Sure.
Okay.
Go ahead and do that, and we'll keep.
Stone has not yet
initiative.
used his inspiration, so I think
Good
Stone
time
will-
for it.
Yeah. So Stone is going to, with renewed vigor, bound over and inspiredly bite this creature.
Okay.
That's a bunch of ones, but
That's a 17.
17 will hit.
And that's 6 damage.
Okay. All right. This thing is not dead, but is quite hurt. So Tawny, I think what it's probably going to do is it's going to try to draw away again. So at this point, like anyone that wants to get attacks on this thing, will be able to do so. So Stone went. River, if you want to run over and take a hit on this thing, you can do that. So can Inga, and then it's going to try to get away again.
Because he's basically got it by the neck and is trying to keep its head down so it can't generate any lift.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
Flapping.
I'm gonna let Inga stalk over to do this.
All right, let's have Inga do it.
Yeah. With her great axe, she's gonna just like bring it down.
And it is a
the
great
neck.
axe. Can we all agree? It is a great.
It is.
Yeah.
That's a great.
And
axe.
it's called Bright Edge. So that's the first attack, and the second attack. Wait, did she use her? She didn't use her. Did she?
But if she's attacking with me, we're both threatening. I mean,
Yeah.
she could easily have moved into a flank. She gets the
That's
19.
true.
That's another crit.
Yep, I would agree.
So that is a crit. So that is 12. So that's 14.
That is going to be enough on this thing. So
Okay.
basically, just like I like the idea of Tawny
So
like
with-
holding the neck out, and then he just like slices through.
Right. And he just pulls the head of it right. He's like, "You should have run."
And so you get this moment, like very much in like the orc coming close with the mouth open. It opens its mouth, and then you have a moment where the mouth just disappears because the neck has been taken off by Inga, and she just sort of pants covered in blood, as many of you are, as the last vultures sort of fly away, and we are out of combat.
You come here right now. pointing to you.
You're
yes,
pointing
the
at a
river.
screen. It could be
The
anyone.
river. I know
I was
that.
like, what?
I'm pointing right
Who are
at
you
your
pointing
picture.
to? Okay.
River. Okay, I'm thinking to say before Tawny summons her over. I'm imagining that River like has sort of trudged over to the fallen dwarf whose name is.
I don't know
Grumpy.
that the dwarf identified himself to you.
Grumpy.
I thought they all did. Didn't they all say their names?
Sleepy, grumpy.
No. I don't remember that I named this dwarf. Domi was definitely there, but I don't remember that his companion was here. But I mean, you could certainly ask if you wish.
But
I
he's
think-
dead, so he's not going to tell you.
Well,
Well, the other dwarves might know.
Oh,
there's
well.
so much gravitas in this moment, you guys. What I'm saying is, I think River would trudge over and just sort of fall to her knees next to this dwarf and just kind of hollowed out misery. And as she is kneeling there next to him, reflecting on the fact that she doesn't even know his name, she's just going to sort of kneel there, not actually. If Tawny calls to her, I don't think she's going to answer. I think she's just going to kneel there and just kind of stare hollowly for a moment, not actually know what to say or do. She's not yet near weeping. She can't. She's just too miserable and sad and hurt. But this dwarf gave his life for her when she was wearing this. The only thing that she knows about him is that he didn't want her to put this armor on, and he still saved her life. So she's going to just kneel there while the grief gathers in her chest like a thunderhead. And if Domi is anywhere near, she'll look up and say, actually, she won't look up. She'll just say, what was his name?
And so he comes over and he says, his name was Larny. He was my cousin. I knew him since he was a lad. But he did what he would have wanted to do. If he could take this beast out of the world, it is what he would have wanted. And he kind of shakes his head, and you can see, well, if you don't look up, you don't see this. I imagine Tani and Bolo could probably see tears glistening in the old dwarf's eyes, and as he looks down on him, and he says, he shakes his head, and he says, I once believed you could look through darkness and find light on the other side. And you spend some time alive and you realize it's all darkness to darkness. And he kind of looks up in the grayness of the sky, which is gradually beginning to, heading towards, starting to head towards late afternoon, early evening, and it's never very bright in the west anyway. And he sort of just sinks to one knee and he murmurs to himself, and he's saying clearly something in Dwarvish, some kind of a phrase, a prayer, perhaps. And then he stands up and he sees you, River, just like everybody just covered in blood around him, and he shakes his head and he says, "What an evil hour! What an evil hour! We should never have been here for this attack."
River, well, actually, I don't know if this works or not, because I can't remember if the armor that she's wearing has a separate helmet or not. But if it did, she would take it off and put it on his chest and sort of fold his hands over it and start just keening a mourning song of her own people for their fallen, and finally start crying as she does so.
Tani and Bolo, what are you doing?
So I approach, but don't get too close. I'm standing kind of a little bit away respectfully, hands in front of me and head bowed, just kind of taking all this in, witnessing the pain, and we're getting a bit of a sense of what this armor is about at this point. We know which is going to be related to the larger things at play. So I'm kind of reflecting on that a little bit at the moment.
And Bolo, I should say that this is even in the grayness of this surrounding light, the armor still gleams as if it were somehow lit from within. You've never seen anything this bright. When Bilbo used to tell stories about what it was like to see the treasure hoard of the dragon, and just sort of and the Arkenstone in particular, and how is it possible that a gemstone can somehow be lit with its own internal fire, and yet that's what it feels like looking at this armor. Never seen anything this beautiful, really.
I think
that does strike me a little bit, Bolo, a little bit. He's kind of thinking about the threads these things weave through time and through people, through space as well, and then he's just kind of reflecting on the sort of the fabric that all of these things are creating, what things people create and how they affect the world and that sort of thing. And this is like one bright thread at the moment, but he's reflecting on the others as well.
Yeah,
I think that as River sings, the song that she starts singing begins to change into one of the only dwarven songs that she knows from contact with Inga and from the time that they've spent in among Inga's family and stuff.
Okay.
And she starts singing, "The wind was on the withered heath, but in the forest stirred no leaf. Their shadows lay by night and day, and dark things silent crept beneath. The wind came down from mountains cold, and like a tide it roared and rolled. The branches groaned, the forest moaned, and leaves were laid upon the mold. The grasses hissed, their tassels bent, the reeds were rattling, on it went, o'er a shaken pool under heaven's cool, where racing clouds were torn and rent. It passed the lonely mountain bare, and swept above the dragon's lair. There black and dark lay boulders stark, and flying smoke was in the air. It left this world and took its flight over the wide wings of the night. The moon set sail upon the gale, and stars were fanned to leaping light."
Very nice. As the notes echo, with Domi standing there, the other dwarf silent behind him, Clifford with his hand on the back of Lillimon, Stone kind of comes up to you and just lies next to you and kind of puts his head next to your leg as you kneel there, River. Tani, what are you doing as this is happening?
Tony's probably standing off a bit, pretty close to where he was at the end of the fight.
Okay.
And he just kind of takes in that scene and listens to the song, but he, looks around and makes sure that there's nothing,
right,
no other threats coming up. And when he's sure that things are okay, he basically starts breaking out his healer's kit and starts setting up to take care of everyone.
So let's talk a little bit about that. The discussion with Domi and the remaining dwarf turns to eventually what is to be done. First of all, you all have to heal yourselves, but you have to return home. But the question is, what are you going to do with this armor? And one of the other dwarf there, who's let me see if I have his name. I'll have to find his name. Anyway, the other dwarf argues for the possibility of keeping it in the tomb. But Domi is extremely against this idea, because Domi says that now that this stuff has been found, clearly they know that this thing exists. There will be other people who will come back. You can't have grave robbers taking it, that kind of thing. So Domi is extremely against the idea of leaving this thing in the tomb. But it's a decision that also has to be partially be made by the party. Domi is making it very clear that he thinks it needs to go back or it's going to make things worse, that you have to take the armor. So, but obviously you all have a say somewhat in this, but this is what Domi is suggesting. So I want to ask about that and what you decide about that. Then we'll talk about the healing, and then we'll talk about the journey the next day. So, but first of all, party, you tell me what you think.
From River's perspective, well, so again, this is, mentally, this is very difficult because Tari is not here, and Inga is the dwarf of the party to whom absolutely, River would defer and stuff. But just to recap here, the idea, the difficulty of this armor is that it was made by dwarves as a gift for men.
Correct. That's the assumption.
And the idea here is that if it comes to light, then it will be a source of friction between them, because the dwarves want to keep this armor.
That's correct. It's their workmanship. They may have given it as a gift centuries ago or whatever, but it were many decades and decades and decades ago. But not. That's all past. Now, dwarven work for the dwarves, right?
River knows what she will say to. So, again, laboring under the fact that her charisma checks automatically fail and that there is no real convincing to happen right now. The song you heard was terrible, by the way. It grated on the ears probably and was awful because charisma checks are bad. But it was anyway. It wasn't full of the.
You weren't trying to persuade anyone, though.
She wasn't trying to persuade anyone. Yeah. But what River would say is that she thinks she agrees with Domi that now that the armor has come to light, it won't be put away again, and that what should happen, as far as she's concerned, is that it should be carried to Dale for Bard to make a gift of back to the dwarves. That is the thing that she thinks should happen, and that she will, because as far as she's concerned, it belongs to them, and she would give it to them immediately. But what she would try to suggest as a possibility is to arrive as a party together to Bard and say to him that she has fought in this armor, she has bled inside it, and if that means anything to him, that her desire is that it should go back to the people who made it, and that if this was done by the heir to Girion's throne, that would be a tremendous act of healing and peace, and that is what she would say to Bard, and she'd say this to the party, but also would say that she will defer to Inga essentially about this, and I just don't feel right saying what Inga would say in this instance.
Well, let's find out what Tani and Bolo would say, and so forth.
Bolo?
Yeah, Bolo's in agreement, and he feels a little bit like he's treading on ground that he shouldn't be treading on. So he will give kind of a respectful nod, but then kind of step away and let things continue.
Tawny's laying out, bandages and whatnot, and various poultices and stuff, and in the midst of the River's explanation of what she thinks, he just kind of stops, and he just sort of just kind of half wringing a piece of gauze. No. Well, yes and no. I don't think we should take it back to Dale. I think the act of us taking it to the Bardings could potentially be seen in a not good light. Similarly, I don't think we should take it to the Iron Hills, to the Erebor, or anywhere else either. I think if we want this to have the middle ground meaning that it must, we have the two parties who are arguing over it meet at a point in the middle. We have them come to the Haven.
Huh. Something in River's heart just crumples at the thought of the Haven, which she hasn't been able to think of for this whole time. And she just sort of nods in a sort of wondering stupor, of course. Of course, that makes so much sense. And she'll turn to Domi and explain that the Haven at Midway is a place that has been recently made to receive the enslaved, the rejected, the broken, the dregs, who have been rebuilding a place together where many races mingle and build lives together. And it is equidistant from both the Iron Hills, both from the Erebor and Dale. And while the woman who leads it, Ash, would probably not thank us for bringing that much attention to it, I think she would see wisdom in being a middle ground.
And so Domi kind of nods seriously and slowly and says, I can see some wisdom in what you say, but you need to understand that neither dwarves nor men are likely to see it that way. If we're going to do something like that, and he kind of like takes a glance over at his companion, who kind of just has this fixed, sort of very stern, almost inscrutable, I guess, expression. And he says, where is, you said it was equidistant. What direction from Erebor then?
South.
The answer to that is southeast.
Southeast? Oh,
southeast.
Is it? Okay.
Southeast. And if it's going to be southeast, then the question is, do you go, and I've pulled up, let me pull up the map for everybody here.
Boy.
If you were to go, so there are two options, right? You could try to go direct like this, which is like,
More wastes.
that's a lot more days in the waste, right?
Yeah.
Or you can try to go essentially like something like that, right? Out into the northern Dale lands and then south towards Erebor. And then at some point, maybe just north of the mountain, you could then, skirt this way, if you see what I mean. And so that way you're staying out of the waste, but you're avoiding like that. That might be another option. But Domi basically is like not wild about the idea of going through more days of the waste, especially after they spent this much time.
Nor is River.
Out of character, what was Domi's original mission?
Domi had originally come to basically do this excavation because he wanted to see whether or not the research he had done was proven to be true. And he was convinced that it was true and that it was going to have profound effects on relationships between the dwarves and men of that region because of what we've been talking about with this whole thing. So like then when he got kidnapped and they basically were like, yeah, you're going to dig and we're going to watch you while you do it, then that obviously was a problem. But
wasn't Domi on his way?
He was on his way to visit Bard first, actually. Yeah,
yes.
He was going to talk to Bard first, but then he was eventually he was going to go up and try to get this thing excavated. But he first was going to Bard.
Was that like a courtesy visit type of thing to let him know what he was planning to do?
Yes, and was not something that all the dwarves were fans of. That was Domi's idea, and the dwarves were not necessarily in favor of it. The dwarves wanted to just go themselves and like excavate it and whatever. And Domi, and not a lot of them knew, by the way. Only a few dwarves actually knew what Domi's plans were. But that was on purpose because Domi saw how explosive this was potentially.
And do we understand at this point where Furball fits into the picture? Like, was he sent by somebody? Did he just find out about?
Don't know.
So we don't know.
All we know, we did ask him who he was working for,
right, and
stuff, and I can't remember what he said. It was probably a lie, but I still can't remember what he actually said.
Yeah, Domi did not really. Furball did not really specify. He said that there were larger forces afoot that they could see what was going to happen and that they saw everything that was happening and that kind of thing. But was all kind of vague. And at a certain point, I forget who knocked Furball out. It might have been Inga, but kind of got tired of his nonsense. So
yeah,
it's just a concern that Bolo brings up. Like he says it seems like a good meeting place. I'm just concerned about the actual journey and what forces might waylay us on the way there. I just think we need to consider that a bit in our plans for how we're going to get there, and perhaps who we might notify along the way and how.
Well, most definitely, you're taking that off.
Oh, of course.
I mean, like now. I need to work on you.
I'm imagining that she would. Right. Yeah. Oh wait, no, that's all. So we'll be like, no, of course I'm taking it off.
You now.
And like, oh, I guess I am a little hurt.
While healing sort of begins, I am going to go search Furball's vulture and body for information, perhaps even like signs of some sort that we could decipher, rings.
I was just about
what
to
have
ask,
you.
yeah, what specifically are you looking for, like on these creatures?
Well, any runes. First of all, any kind of signs that might be tied to specific groups and/or houses.
Um,
Be it goblin or dwarf or otherwise, and then any written communications if found.
Right. There are none of those things. The things that strike you when you find him, first of all, is that he is clearly a sort of large goblin. Not large, not enormous. I should say small orc, large goblin, right? Like that kind of thing. He has a bow of horn, which is at his belt. And he also has this bow of horn, which he was using to, fire back and forth with Inga. He also has a jagged knife. And Bolo, when you draw the knife forward, you see that the hilt and the pommel are curiously worked. There's a kind of dark leather that is wrapped around it, but the metal, both at the top and at the bottom of the handle, is a dark kind of almost non-reflective metal. And I would like you to make, what kind of check do I want you to make for this?
Dexterity saving throw to keep from stabbing yourself.
Yes, exactly. Through the knife. Through the throat, thereby ending your story. No. Those are not things that would happen.
Pressure. Wait, no.
I'm going to have you make a lore check for me, please.
And/or history. They're both the same, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, lore.
Not great.
You said they're both the same.
Yeah, the only thing you know for sure is that this does not strike you as a dagger which came from around here. Now, you don't know a whole lot about, arm stuff like that and armoring, but you've seen plenty of people, like the knife that you carry, the daggers that your friends carry, that the weapons that you've seen on many of the men of Dale. This doesn't fit any of those descriptions. And in fact, you don't ever remember having seen a dagger exactly like this. Ever. So you know that for sure.
Can this help me at all, treasure lore?
Maybe. Told of a particular... Well, this is about a particular location. So I would say there's what the treasure lore deals with. So I would say not. I would say, yeah, it's a location or a place. That said, though, I would say that that's one of the reasons I'm able to tell you what I just told you, which is that this is not from this place. That's for sure. And you can show it to your companions and ask them, but like you're pretty confident that you've not seen this before. Other than that, there's no other obvious like notes or anything on him or anything like that.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I stuff it under my belt. Finish the search. I check some of the vultures too, if they have saddle, if there's a saddle bag, anything like that.
There are not on these creatures, and you can see there is this foul stench that I mentioned, which continues to rise from the dead ones. The thing you notice about these creatures, I don't want to get too graphic here, trigger warning to everyone, but the blood coming from these creatures seems dark and tarry and congealed. Almost, I mean, obviously blood clots, but I'm talking about like it sort of oozes rather than pours.
Yeah.
Very weird.
Okay. All right. I finished up my search.
Did Bolo just take a
3 of them.
gnarly cursed dagger from
Nothing ever goes wrong with things like that.
Yeah.
I just
I do show it to the group, including the dwarves, when I get back.
Before you get back, though, Tawny's like, Bolo, can you grab some of those especially stiff feathers, please? Probably about 20 or 30 of them.
Okay. Yes, and I'll actually use the knife that I just took to get a sense of it.
Mm-hmm. Quite sharp and seems to have no difficulty, even though as you feel the feather, it does feel very stiff in your hand. And you have to be careful because you almost feel like this feather could cut your hand if you weren't being careful. Yeah. But you're able to slice the feather loose with ease if you use this jagged knife.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
All right. Yeah, I'll collect those.
Okay.
Bring him back to Tani.
River I don't know that I have much lore and stuff, but I would do I do have shadow lore of 1, I guess.
Well, and Domi also, by the way, like when he sees it, his eyes sort of widen, and he murmurs something in Dwarvish to his companion. But you can go ahead and make a lore check, River. I'm going to come, Tani, while she's doing that, what are you doing with the feathers?
As soon as he brings them back, kind of looks at the river, and Inga is like, "Can you fletch arrows with these?"
I don't know if River can. She's not a bow type person.
Inga
But Inga
might-
probably could.
Yeah, Inga might be able to, although this is going to take some skill because they're not the normal style of feather, but yes. Exactly, live sewing, yes. Okay, River, what'd you get? Oh, is that a 19?
19.
Yeah, so you, Domi, sort of murmurs something and kind of darkly speaks to his companion, and you maybe know why. You're pretty confident, River, that you have seen this sort of thing before. It has been used, stuff like this has been used by orcs and goblins, but they are used by orcs from far to the north. Angband, the fortress of the goblins, fortress of the orcs, and the fortress, stronghold of evil with an ill name even now. This clearly must have come from the forges of Angband, and there are relics that you find, but there has not been any active weapons being used by goblins and orcs this far south, relatively speaking, for a long time. Now, you are farther north, you are in the waste, but still, for a creature to have this kind of metal is troubling.
River says this to Bolo and to Tani, and I imagine she'll have heard of some of this from Radagast in particular. And she especially says, "I've never seen one that looked so new before. And if the forges in Angband are running again, that's very, very bad. We should bring this to the attention of people back home, but if I were you, I wouldn't use it over much, Bolo."
Probably wise.
River is letting Tani heal
Yes,
her.
I was going to say, now we want to talk. I want to talk healing with Tani. So,
Yeah.
Tani, how are we looking for healing for these various peoples?
Well, let's see. I should probably start with the most wounded, which would, of course, be me.
Quickly, let's prolong rest. I can't remember if I used this on this particular adventure after.
You can make a meal with flanks here once per long rest. You haven't this long rest yet. This might be a good time to do that, since
I'm gonna
River is down 58 points, and for example,
I take a few moments to start a bit of a fire and make a nice meal.
Okay. Are you using vulture meat?
Ah! God.
Yeah, I think I'll be
No.
avoiding
It's tough
that.
and stringy, but no.
Yeah.
Not the stuff that was in the acid. It's been tenderized. Very nice.
Oh my God.
It's got an interesting tang to it.
Pre-softened for your
Right.
for your
That's right. We've got
culinary
some
enjoyment.
vulture
Some
crudo.
turkey ceviche for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Vulture ceviche. Oh God, no.
Oh
no,
God!
no,
it's like
no.
the worst foie gras. Like it's
Oh.
just disastrous. Like man.
This is so awful. This is so.
Yeah,
so
I'll
very
make
bad.
some flatbread and use the last of the honey I have stored away on this trip.
Okay.
Aw.
So that will allow you to maximize, right? To maximize healing. So that's going to maximize your. So go ahead, Tani. Now add that into whatever healing you're going to do.
Yeah,
Hooray.
which is going to be considerable.
Yeah.
Everyone
gains 100 points. They are
Yay!
probably pretty close.
Yeah.
It's going to be at least 60.
That's
per
great.
person.
That's great
Yeah.
to know.
Yeah.
Hooray. Max hit points.
Let's see. Where is it?
My hit point maximum is 60. So
That's not it. Gotta find where this thing is.
Inga, who is down like 3 hit points, is going to be back up to 66, I think. Here I was thinking I'd have to bust out Staunching Song of the Woodman, but I don't think so.
Okay, so it's 2d8, which is 16, times my proficiency modifier, which is 3. So what's 16
48?
times 3?
Times 3. Yeah, I was going to say times 3 is
48.
48. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah. Wait, plus 5.
53.
53.
Oh,
That's
sorry,
how much
50,
it is.
51, sorry.
That's how much it is.
Yeah, 51.
51!
All right,
Hey!
so River would be
Fives.
up to 53.
Oh, okay.
Stone would be up to full. This is on everybody, right?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay, so Stone up to full. Everyone's like, wow, that's a lot of healing. Yes, that is what a scholar can do when a scholar's got it in the mind to. Bolo will be back up to full.
And I can't do that like in combat because it takes 10 minutes,
Yeah.
treating each person.
Yes.
So.
And then you can do that on
so-
yourself though too, Tani, right? That can affect you. Yeah, so.
I think that so I will also to get back up to max because I am 7 points away from it.
Yep.
So Staunching Song of the Woodman. After you finish a short rest, you may sing this song to recover a hit die plus your Constitution modifier's worth of damage without expending one of your hit dice.
Okay.
By spending inspiration, you may do the same for all the other members of your company, but it's unnecessary. Your allies roll to recover hit points, etc. So she is actually going to, I think, we're having a short rest, right? So
Yes.
I think that after the meal and after Tani has ministered to her, or during that time, she'll quietly sing the song that her father taught her to do this. And so that is 1d8 plus, what's my Constitution modifier? 2. So 1d8 plus 2, which is 7.
Just right.
Which takes me up to 60.
Hey,
Beautiful.
look at that. See? Everyone's fine except River's miserable and Bola's miserable underground and a bunch of people have shadow points. But hey. Okay. So I'm going to jump us forward here, but before I do that, I do want to mention I would like for Tani, please, to make an insight check for me. And this is as all of you, as you're preparing your, poultices and like bustling about and giving everyone their stuff. Bolo with the awesome like flank searer bonus. Good. That's a good healing tag team right there, by the way.
Yeah.
11.
Okay. So the thing you note, I just want to point out that everyone, of course, is in kind of a, I don't know, there's a sad mood, obviously, because of the loss of the dwarf. There is a sense of the waste which continues to weigh down on everybody. But you notice that in particular, the one who seems most kind of disconnected and down is Clifford. That is just sort of spends all of his time over by Liliman, just kind of like petting Liliman's mane and then like a few of the other ponies as well, but really does not engage much with the people, the humanoid, the two-legged people, creatures around there. So I wanted to note that. You don't have to do anything about it if you don't want to, but it's something you noticed in particular because you were the one outside dealing with Clifford through all this stuff. So
A thing I want to throw in there that I feel pretty sure Inga would do is I feel like Inga would probably want to make some kind of marker or cairn.
Yes, that's logical.
Stonemasonry for Lauren. Was that his name?
Yes. No, it was. I think I said it was. Lauri, Lauri.
Laurie.
Yeah.
And River would actually probably suggest that putting him to rest in the tomb might be appropriate.
Okay.
and stuff. And so if there is if there is a way to work together to do that with Inga, I think that that she would do that and hold some kind of like funerary rite for him that we don't have to play out at this late time. But I just feel very strongly that would happen.
I think that makes sense. And so Inga can do that part of the time at night, when not resting and so forth, can do part of that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, go ahead, sorry.
The one other thing I was going to say is, depending on the route and stuff that they take, I think that River would ask Domi how, and Inga, I mean, she would have this conversation with Inga present, I think, how they would feel about her wearing the armor until they leave the waste, or whether she should take it off now that they're not in danger. And she will just totally defer to what they think should be done, whether they should be hiding the armor as they travel, or whether she can wear it to potentially like continue to aid in combat in case anything comes.
Well, so Domi's response to that is to sort of, he was the one, you may remember, who had finally said that it was okay if you wore the armor. The other dwarf, the one that was really grumpy about it, of course, did not survive. The other dwarf who's still living seems very disapproving of the idea of you wearing it, but obviously is not going to let it get in the way of you, taking it if you wish. Domi more or less is neutral about this, in the sense that because Domi already made the decision, it makes it clear that, not a good idea to be wearing it when a lot of people show up, but in the meantime, it certainly could give some benefits. So the real question is what Inga would say, and I know we don't have Terry here, so we just have to kind of do the best we can to figure out it. Yeah. Okay. So when the next day dawns and you set out again after having laid Lauren to rest below the earth in the tomb, and closes it, and Domi, with Tani's help, because Tani's tall enough to get up to these things, sort of reseals the tomb to the extent possible. And then Domi sort of looks at the door and says, "There may he lie, gone off to see his fathers in the halls of stone. And may any robbers who come here looking for treasure find only grief, as we have." And then kind of turns away, sort of bent over, and ascends the stairs again.
I feel like Inga would also use her magic to, if it's possible, to
lock that door. I assumed as much. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's it's not like the magic is not like unbelievable, invulnerable, but yes, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
And just to be clear, the party is in agreement about doing this path, this one that we talked about, like left and down as opposed, southwest. And down. Okay.
Let's leave. Absolutely.
Let's get the hell out of the waste. Okay.
Let's get out of the waste.
The day that you take passing over the waste passes relatively uneventfully, and I would, under normal circumstances, say, okay, let's get set up to do a journey. But something happens the next day. When you have crossed, it takes about a day, as I said, to get over the waste. You rest that night, and the next day, the next morning, really, you are crossing over. So by this point, you've crossed over into, I apologize for moving. Let me get rid of Furball. All of you are basically down here. So if you folks could move your pieces down there. So you've crossed back over into the waste when suddenly my daughter calls. Hold on one second.
Cross back over out of the waste.
Out of the waste, yeah. Out of the waste. Out of the waste.
Kind of amusing that Bola was completely occluded by Tani.
I forgot the joke.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I'm so wrung out.
But there was never a point where the vultures had grappled, they were right next to each other, Tani, and there was a point where I was going to say like the vultures were trying to loop around or whatnot, and I wanted Tani to say, "God, if only I had a bolo," and for you to be like, "I'm right here." It's like, no.
Isn't it a bolas?
Yeah.
Yes. I see. Great. But yes. Oh man.
Like
oh no, something happens. I bet they're going to be met by the men of Dale or something. That's my called shot.
That's what I've been expecting, which is part of the reason why I was like, take that off now.
Yeah, I think
hidden-
that makes a lot of sense.
Is it hidden away at this point?
that
So-
was it.
I want to I really feel like that decision would depend on what Inga would say, and I have no idea what Inga would say, because I don't think Tari kind of knew yet with, at the beginning of the combat, that was like definitely already being a deferred thing. And that's the kind of thing I just can't assume for Inga, but it definitely makes sense to hide it. And I think that, I think it definitely makes sense to hide it. And River is totally fine with hiding it. Although she will also make the point that that it's probably going to be more difficult to take from them if she's wearing it.
Okay,
that's
sorry
the
about
kind
that,
of thing
everybody.
All good.
Okay, sorry about that. So, when you cross over into the Northern Dale Lands, and you've been there for maybe just a couple of hours, making your way slowly towards the Lonely Mountain, which you can see, far, far in the distance still, you spy this, and let me pull up the picture on stream. Okay, there's that. Browse. Find the thing. There we go. You see this. Over the rise of one of the hills, you see before you a wide encampment that is filled with tents and banners raised on a green field, and it's not actually far from a small village here in the Northern Dale Lands. And you can reach the field by crossing a wooden bridge that spans a narrow watercourse. And right on the other side of the bridge, you can see a group that are coming towards you. They are covered in head to toes black livery, which you know to be the livery of King Bard's royal archers. And next to them are mattock-wielding dwarves that clearly Inga would know belong to King Dine's, and actually Tani would as well as a dwarf friend, famed Iron Guard. And both of these groups seem to be expecting you. And as you sort of come forward, one of them steps forward from the livery-wearing guards and says, "Greetings, heroes of Dale. We've come to bring you to a parley and a council." And they sort of, this one kind of flickers his eyes over to the dwarf. "The dwarves of the Iron Hills and the men of Dale must speak to you, and we would ask that you come with us." And the dwarves have got like hands around the handle of the hammer, and seem to be looking quite a bit at you, River.
So, I don't want to end on this note, but can we actually defer this until we know whether or not River is actually wearing the armor? Only in terms of like, I feel like it will be a very different thing.
No, it will be, yeah.
I mean, I think.
Well, the thing is, I was
think
going to stop. I was gonna. There's one other note that I wanted to end on if I could.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that I think that River would be like, of course we should do this and we should go and talk to them. It's just inflected very differently depending on whether or not she's wearing the armor.
I think we have to make a decision about what. This is nothing against Terry, but we have to make a decision about what we think Inga would be likely to do, especially because at that point we can make decisions beyond there. But like, I mean. Yeah, I don't want to wait. I want to, I don't want to wait for that part anyway.
It's just like I am torn dramatically between two different.
I hear you. No, I know.
Things. And I think that it would be a very cool, terrible idea dramatically to have her be wearing the armor, and especially because she is the one who is not noble and like who has no nobility here.
And you could also, and I mean, it's up to you, because I was going to say, you could also at this point, it's not like they're like, come with us and like put you in shackles. I mean, obviously they're not going to do that. So you could also take a minute and remove the armor. I mean, you could certainly do that.
No, I know. I'm just trying to decide on like what impact. You know what? I think she will have taken it off. I think that's just what it is. She'll have taken it off and said, yes, let's keep it hidden. but I think her blood is still all over it.
That makes sense. And so it's on the back of Lilimon, maybe, or one of the horses. Like the thing is like laden
I
on the
think
back.
It's covered and blanketed
where?
and kept out of sight.
Okay.
I think it's kept out of sight, and I think she's given it to Domi to like be in charge of.
Tani and Bolo, are you cool with that? Like, what do you think?
Tani's suggestion at that point would have been to like split the pieces up.
Oh yeah.
Each one of us, instead of having all of this big chunky block of stuff.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, have each one of you wearing a part of the armor.
Right.
Like, well, we split it among us. Like, you sons of... Like,
where did you get that gauntlet? This one? You know?
Yeah.
I really like that idea, especially because I really like the idea of Bolo getting to handle a piece of it and stuff. So I think
that never being seen again?
Yeah. No. I think he would be entrusted with it.
No.
Anyway, I like the idea. I very much like the idea of it being like separated out into its components. Inga taking apart, River taking apart, Tani taking apart, Bolo taking apart, and Domi and the last dwarf whose name we don't know taking apart, and just like having it distributed among them. That way no one party is carrying the armor.
Gotcha.
Right? Like
okay.
it's so, and I think that would be part of the approach. So yeah.
Okay. So given that that's the case, then they will not be staring directly at you, but they will definitely then are. It's very clear they mean business and want you to come with them.
River will look from like to each of her companions in turn and say, "Yes, we'll go with you."
Assuming the companions silently agree, then you pass over into the center of the encampment, where you are greeted by two people. The first is this man, who you may remember from the very beginning, who is Thane Jofer, who was the one who spoke on behalf of Bard. And the other one, who...
I remember not liking him very much.
Clearly... Yeah, although you didn't have the same problem with him that you all had with
this
another
guy.
one I'm about to talk. Then Dwalin is also there, and of course you know of Dwalin as well. And Dwalin is standing next to Jofer, more or less in the center of the camp, and you can see that there are definitely two armed groups that are gathered here. There is a group of the Men of Dale, and a group of Bardings, and a group of dwarves with these mattocks, and Dwalin there among them. And as
we're looking at them, just how tense is the mood?
Very tense. Okay. They are kind of like, you can see that they're just sort of barely restrained type of thing. And as they come across you, both Jofer and Dwalin separately kind of actually make insight checks for me, everybody. Tani, Bolo, and the River, please, as you see them. Okay.
Well, typically clueless.
Like, everything's fine. Okay, there's the River.
Nice.
I'm doing for Inga.
Natural one.
Yeah, Tani's like, I have no idea. Wow. So the only one, is it the River was the only one who saw, basically?
Yes. Amazing. Yeah. The second one was for Inga.
The second was for Inga, and the first one was for you. Okay, so River, you're pretty confident that it seems to you that both Jofer and Dwalin seem to be relieved to see you. And part of that may just be, oh, good, it's the Heroes of Dale. But you also get the impression that both of them are relieved to see you, as like both of them kind of almost sort of want to pull you aside. And Jofer and Dwalin ask you to sort of come away from the rest of the men, who are all looking at you, both men and dwarves, kind of glowering. You almost feel like you're stuck in between a group of static electricity, as these two sides are looking at each other. And Dwalin goes over and embraces Domi, and he says, I see that our faith in the Heroes of Dale were not misplaced, and it is good that you're here. But you come back to some darkness, Domi. And Domi responds, I came from it. There's no difference here. What exactly are we dealing with then? And Jofer says, with his voice lowered, several days ago, after you had left Dale, word of your secret mission surfaced, and it spread like wildfire among dwarves and men alike. I don't know who it was that gave them this information, but it certainly had the effect that they probably wanted. Even though King Bard refused to confirm the rumor, a number of barding lords and dwarves took it into their own hands the matter to find out what you might or might not have found on the adventure. I went with the men, and we ran into Lord Dwalin here and his dwarves on the roads leading north. And Dwalin nods and he says, "Yes, everyone suspected in these dark days that everyone else knew more than they did, and things would have escalated perhaps quickly. But Jofer here and I decided that all we could do for the moment was to sit and wait for you to return. If you had Domi with you," and he kind of nods to Domi, "then perhaps we could have a solution to this matter. And if it is true that you have returned with something, then perhaps there is a chance to do something different." And Jofer nods and he says, "There is to be a council to discuss matters in the name of our respective kings. Bard for me, King Dain for Dwalin. And you must be the ones who will speak. Is it true," he says, looking at Domi, "have you found what it is rumored you sought?" And so Domi kind of looks at the party and then looks at Dwalin and then looks at Jofer, and he slowly nods his head and he says, "I have, but this is a bad business." And Dwalin and Jofer sort of also nod solemnly like, "Oh crap, it just got real," type of thing. They're both like, you can see that they're both like interested, but also this is not good news in a way. Well, it is, but it isn't at the same time. And so Jofer says, "You will be the only ones who will speak at the council, because it is believed that you are the only ones with connections enough between dwarves and men to make the decision that must be made. You must explain what has happened, to recount your tale. And then," he looks at Dwalin, "and then you must figure out a way to keep all of them from falling into open warfare. What you do will determine what happens in this land, and I am sorry to place it upon you." And then there is a deep, to jump out of game for a second, Christopher Lee sounding voice who says, "Yes, and they will need to speak well." And striding from one of the tents towards you, you see Lord Haken from Dale.
Oh, okay, that's fine. God, I thought it was Saruman for a second.
Saruman,
I
no.
was like,
No.
We're done for.
Sorry, now we're screwed, no. And with that, and with the tents and banners and two angry groups of military people looking at each other, we're going to bring this session to a close. And that's why I didn't want to stop.
Hey.
So, you have got a council to deal with, and they've got to keep people with fighting war battles. Yeah.
That's great. And your bardic figure is miserable and fail all her charisma checks automatically. Hey. So good. So good.
Man, yeah, this was I wanted to get to this stage partly because I'm really looking forward to this session, which will be the last session of To Dungeons Deep. This is the concluding chapter you're going to be doing in our next session, and there's a lot riding on it, and I'm very excited to see how things go with the party and the Andronauts speaking, and all of you are going to have to speak at some point on behalf of what should be done about the people of Dale and the dwarves. I will start as per usual at the bottom of the column and work my way up. Actually, I'll move over to... No, I'll leave it up so we can look at these pictures before I go back to the cams only. Amal, good stuff with the river today. Obviously, we had the fight that you had to deal with, the sacrifice of Lauren for you, the fact that you've got the armor that's still sort of sitting there, and the fact that you've been miserable through all of this. Your song actually was very important because of getting rid of everyone else's misery, but it doesn't help Bolo's miserable underground thing, and it doesn't help you still in terms of that misery. But now you've got a council to worry about, where we'll see what words can do when war does not. How did you feel about the session today? Where will the fine folks see you next?
I am wrung out. I am wrung out by this session. Wow, there was so much. I really thought River was gonna die. I mean, I thought she was gonna die, and that maybe there was a chance of like saving throw life remaining and stuff. But I just, yeah, there was definitely a part of River that was like, this armor feels doomed. I feel like putting it on in order to save people is a vote for my own demise. But that's fine. Protecting the rest of the party is like the only thing I'm good for. So yeah, very emotional. Definitely need sushi after this. But yeah, so or ceviche. I didn't think it was possible for someone to put me off the idea of ceviche, which I love so much. But congratulations.
Well done there.
Green acidic vulture ceviche.
Oh god. So yeah, so the fight was really epic. It was really difficult. It feels like one of the more difficult and endangering battles that we have had recently. We've had so many of them, and this was still like, several orders more difficult. Partly because of the miserableness, but partly because it was like we had depleted ourselves so much after I think 3 separate encounters in a row,
and the journey through the waste anyway,
and the journey through the waste. So it was. I'm definitely feeling some bleed essentially of that exhaustion. But I think it was really wonderful. I really wish Tari could have been here because it was such a lot of emotional stuff for the dwarves, but I'm also very glad I got to sing that song because it was nice.
It was very nice.
It's from The Hobbit, and it's the song that the dwarves sing early on in the, and when I was 7 and reading The Hobbit for the first time, I made up a tune to it, which was that tune, and it just kind of has stayed in my head my whole life. So I thought, why not deploy it now? And weirdly, I was thinking about it earlier today before I remembered that we were playing. So it just anyway, so yeah, I think I think it was a great session. It's hard to say I enjoyed it because I'm so wrung out, but I felt fully engaged, and I felt the enormity of it essentially. And yeah, that's basically the thing. I really wish there were a way to become unmiserable that made sense. I don't know. It is really, really
you'll have a chance. Listen, if there's a fellowship phase coming, I can think of a good way to use your
Let
time.
Me specify.
About that.
I wish there were a way to become unmiserable before needing to speak in a massive council world-defining way. But oh well. We'll see where that goes in the new year. So yeah.
Right.
Where people can find me next. I am on the internet. You can sign up for my newsletter at amanalmahfal.com. I am staying put because of Omicron and various other things. It is the end of the year. I will say, if anyone is looking for signed copies of This Is How You Lose the Time War, this book, for holidays and stuff like that, I don't know if it will still be able to get to you by the holidays, but I am keeping my local bookstore with signed by me copies. So there are a bunch of those there. And at Porter Square Books in Cambridge, Massachusetts, which is Max Gladstone's local, there are a bunch of signed by him books, which I think there are like 7 of these left at last I checked. They include a postcard signed by me. So you can have both their signatures in the book if you want. Other than that, just you can find me in my newsletter, and I'm on Twitter sometimes, though I'm trying to be on less because it makes me unhappy. So yeah.
I hear that. Well, I'm glad that you have been made happier here when not being exhausted and wrung out by stuff. But either way, thank you, Mal. Good stuff today. And Rudnell pointed out that he will have an inspiration saved for your speech. So there's a present for you guys. We will save an inspiration just for your speaking. And that'll be good. One of the 10 checks she'll have to make. No, not that much.
See, I don't know. Just actually as a question, I
Yeah.
don't think inspiration helps because it's supposed to be that you just automatically fail charisma checks.
Yeah,
So-
charisma checks. That's correct. Charisma checks are automatically
So-
failed, but there may be other situations that are
Right.
not oriented towards that. We will discuss. There may be options, but always a pleasure, Mal, and happy holidays and so forth, and happy New Year and all that. And I
Same
will
to you guys.
and
Happy
I was-
solstice to everyone.
That's
This
right.
is the
Happy solstice. See, and this is the thing. It's perfect because it's the darkest day of the year. But now, chat and people, things begin to get lighter again. So
I think we get like 11 seconds more light today.
exactly. So by
Tomorrow
the time we
it'll
get to
be
there,
warm.
again, the time we get to the next session, there'll be so much more light. There'll be so
So much more.
yeah, so much more light. Anyway, thank you, Mal. Good stuff today. I really enjoyed that song quite a bit as well. Moving right on up the line, Terry will again be back with us next month. Terry Tunes is awesome. I agree that I wish that Terry had been here for this. I couldn't have us go dark for 6 weeks. Like I had to have us do a session here. And so hopefully Inga will be back for this one because Inga will have a chance to speak to the dwarves a lot, and that I think will be important too. We'll need the voice of others as well. So giving the river some assist in her misery. But you should follow Terry Tunes on all the things, including Patreon, including Twitter, and of course you can find her on our Discord channel as well. So all the best and happy holidays and all that stuff to our good friend Terry. Moving right on up the line, Brad, Bolo had some big moments today in combat. For one thing, being able to nail the hell out of the vulture that Tani was trying to fight was definitely one thing. You had a couple of moments that were pretty critical, like being able to dodge out of the way of the full impact of this fully operational vulture stomach, that you had to dodge out of the way of. Was that too? But also, again, I'm going to be really interested to see, and I started to see some elements of it, and you talked about it, about the reflecting on what, and you've mentioned it before, but the sort of threads that these treasures provide, that they're not just like an object, but they're tied into history. And since this was such a defining characteristic of you to begin with, now that you've found an item which feels worthy of, what Bilbo might have discovered, I'm really going to be interested to see how Bolo plays that out. If Bolo even talks about the impact of that in the council, like on what things mean to the people who made them and now have to consider what to do with them after the fact. That'll be interesting to me too. And I was just interested to see Bolo's relationship with treasure and the searching for it that may be tied into this going down the line. How did you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
Yeah, well, it was great. Fights are always, fun and exciting, but the aftermath was more interesting to me. And just talking about combat for a second, it is kind of funny to do a callback back to that lair that we went into, and like Bolo's like first big action scene was like waking somebody up by accident. Like everybody clanged the people on the heads and knocked them out, but only Bolo flubbed his roll and like woke them up and stuff, and not that he's not going to fail rolls in the future, but it's just kind of funny to see, how far things have come and stuff.
It's true.
But yeah, going back to the treasure and things, like one of my favorite parts of probably everybody's favorite parts of story, whether it's movies, comics, novels, role-playing, is spending all this time, building the mystery, and then answering questions along the way. There's blood, sweat, and tears, and then you finally get to this point where you sense the end coming, right? You have not reached the climax. There is still tension, but the end is near. From cues in the story, from pages left in the book, but we have arrived at that point, right? We've come to this place where okay, well, things will finally be resolved, and so it's we're not fully satisfied because the story's not done yet, but it's a satisfying feeling because we know the answers are just ahead. They lie just ahead, even if they're still unclear. So that's where we are, and that's I felt this cool moment of satisfaction as we got to that group. We feel the tension between the players. We know this big thing is about to happen, and we're going to have an effect on it and stuff. So this is a cool moment right here, and so I'm really looking forward to the next session to close things out. So where you can find me, I'm mostly doing things just at home, hiding out and stuff, but I will just give a quick plug again for Absinthe, which is now out in the US and the UK as well. North America and the UK. So check that out, and you can find me at quillings.com, and I have links to all my socials there. So yeah, great session. Thanks.
Good stuff. Thank you, Brad. And happy holidays and everything. And especially given circumstances for you over the last couple of months, really happy holidays, this year in particular.
Sure.
So, but pleasure. And thank you. And last but certainly not least, Tren, Tani not only was dealing during the combat with grappling with vultures and battling back and forth and all that stuff, and got in some solid hits in the process. But then also, obviously, Tani was hugely important as a consequence of, of the healing in particular. And you got to see some of that sort of thing with the scholar work that you're able to do with healing with both you and Bolo. And now Tani's going to be in an interesting spot because, looking at, I was struck by at the end when you were at the end of the thing where the river's singing the song, of grief and so forth, that you're looking at this, and that's when you were like, we should take it to Haven, which is a really cool idea, I think. And in the process of dealing for precisely this reason, like clearly Tani had anticipated, like, this is going to be an issue where they're going to want to move things forward. And what I love about that is that that's directly related to what happened at the Battle of Five Armies. Like the same thing, right? Before there was a battle, they came together and you had the Elven King's army and you had the dwarves and you had all these people that sort of came to each other and they were basically having a big old argument over who gets the gold from the Lonely Mountain and who doesn't. And then it was only when the goblins appear and the wargs that you have the other two armies show up, and then you have a real, like, actual Battle of Five Armies. But before that, it was about to be dwarves versus elves and men for all the marbles. And so Tani knows that very keenly about the battling over things. And I just love the idea that it almost felt like you foresaw, right, this element happening. And now we're going to see how this all gets worked out among these three groups. How did you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
I hated it. It was disgusting.
It was a disaster in every
respect. Ambergris everywhere.
It was a good day, I think. The two crits from Inga were just gorgeous.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sad that Furbolg was dead, because I just, even knowing that he was dead, I still wanted Inga to just, like as she's walking over to the other guy, just step on his head.
Yep.
And just paste it, just absolute, as they say in 7 Days to Die, papaya, and just
yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think that Tani is, in some ways, he is kind of getting frustrated with some of this, that he on some level feels that, why the hell can't these people make the same advancements that I have?
Yeah.
I went from such immature bullshit, because it's like, okay, you give somebody a gift and now you're going to take it back. How old are you?
Yeah.
Kind of, and that's why, the River's idea was brilliant. I was like, oh, yes, that's, and then I was like, what if Bard decides he doesn't want to let it go? And I'm like, then I'm not healing his queen anymore.
I mean, like, absolutely. This is the kind of thing where it's like, as far as River's concerned, like, gifts are means of forming bonds with people.
Sure.
And the idea of the idea of an object that was a gift becoming a source of tension between people is so baffling to her, and so like totally antithetical to how she understands connections. Sorry, I'm interrupting, but yeah.
No,
so it's like, look, you have an opportunity to, like, it was a gift, that was one thing, but now that connection is frayed. But if you give the gift back, then you are rebuilding the connection, and isn't
that's
that
a great idea.
And Tani thinks it's kind of stupid to take something that nice and then just put it in a hole in the ground. I mean,
well, yeah.
Why would you bury it? I mean, you made it had a purpose when it was made. Was to help this guy, or somebody just to live through. Why would you bury it then? It just. But then that's my view on things too. Is that I just think funerals are stupid. But anyway, so Yeah, where will people see me next? I don't know. Here, probably next year. I've been asked to do another uh another short story for the Escape Pod. The funny part about that was that when we were playing Eberron,
Mm-hmm.
and as we were doing our outros, and I said that they hadn't asked me to do another piece yet, that I had done the piece for Pseudopod, but that Escape Pod hadn't asked me. An hour before we finished that stream, an email had come in saying, "Hey, do you want to do this one?"
Oh, nice.
So it's like they heard and they sent me a thing saying, "Do you want to read this one?" I'm like, okay, yeah. So that'll be fun. That I have to have that one finished by the 17th, I think. So that's probably coming next month.
Okay.
And next year, because they're the same thing. Aside from that, it'll probably be back here for more of this and more Eberron, which is also getting really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since I realized that, you know, the guy who's like pointing at the Oracle of War going, use that thing, and I'm like, that's probably the point where Tensor's floating disk cut out and the thing just dropped on the ground, because it lasts for an hour, and you know, he would just be constantly recasting it every hour to lift it back up and move along. So it's probably just dropped to the floor. Anyway, yeah. Aside from that, I will have another BattleTech novel coming out. Not novel, audiobook, coming out probably in the next couple of weeks, depending upon how long it takes for ACX to deal with the thing. And aside from that, who knows?
Good stuff, Tren. And again, I will reiterate what I said before, which is that I have thoroughly enjoyed this year playing with this wonderful crew. I would say the same
good.
thing
Thank
to
you for that qualifier, 'cause
Terry
I
if
was
you were
like,
there.
what?
Thoroughly enjoyed playing with this crew, and am very excited for the adventures and stories we will tell in the new year. So thank you to all of you for sharing your wonderful talents and role-playing abilities and storytelling and emotional investment and all that with us. We appreciate it. Chat, can we get some love for the wonderful players? Thank you so much, players, to Trendane Sparks, to Brad Bollier, to Amal Elmatar. Great pleasure. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you folks next year.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year, everyone.
New Year. All right. And that is going to do it, almost do it for today. But we do have one thing we have to do first, and we got to do it fairly quickly. And that is, he said, as he got his camera ready and then transitioned over like that, that is that we, folks, have got to do our nominations for the Chat Chosen Game of the Month. So I am going to, which we're going to be doing next Tuesday. So let me just pop that up right now. Bear with me 1 second. Yeah, exactly, Rudnell. That's one of the great pleasures, is the fact that we're actually able to have Brad back with us, and we'll be doing the same thing, of course, with Terry as well. Okay, where is? Oh, I have to. I just remembered. Hang on a second. I've got to find this from Effect Life. Right. Okay. Let me just download this quickly. Bear with me 1 second. Bear with me just 1 second. All right. There's that. Let me run this through one quick check so I can make sure that I'm using this. In case you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm setting up ARVBox, but there was a new, Effect Life. No, Effect Life doesn't have, well, I mean, maybe Effect Life has a request. I didn't hear that, but Effect Life wanted, I had to do something with Effect Life's, okay. I had to do something with Effect Life sending me something because of a Java vulnerability, which has been very broad. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so Effect Life, I'm just quickly going through and reinstalling. This should be the same thing, Effect Life, that like pretty much I can just install this right as normal and it should be fine and good to go. Yes. Am I able to do that? He said yes. Okay. So, I'm not going to do that. Okay. Right. Lovely. There's that. Let me move that over there. Okay, so game related, we put that down here. Where is our button? Okay, so I'm going to delete that and I'm going to put this. Oh, wait a second. I'm not going to do that. Oh, no, I am going to do that. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Silly arf. All right. So it's quite a bit smaller. Okay. Okay. There we go. Almost. Ah ha ha. All right. Let's open up poll. Oh, okay. I have to configure this differently, Effect Life. How do I configure it again? Quickly, can you remind me? Sorry, chat. I just realized I've been away. So I mean, I only just got home yesterday. Or pretty much extremely early in the morning. So yeah, can you remind me? It should need reconfiguring. Well, because what I did was I put in polls, and then it says, oh, there it is. It worked. Never mind. We got it. It's good. We're all fine here. Thanks. How are you? Everything's fine. It's working. It didn't the first time, but now it's good. Okay. So now we're going to put this up like that. There we are. Oh, that's because I put the wrong thing in. Good. Lovely. That's what we want. Okay, so now we're back and running. Okay. Again, thank you to Effect Life for doing this awesome thing. All right, folks, you know the drill with this. You can, each one of you can nominate one game and only one game. I'll take the first group. Let's do this quickly, though, please, because I got to get over to GogCom at 4. So please nominate quickly. I am sitting while running while sitting. So which games would you like me to play? Which game would you like me to give a shot to? Please nominate a game for that. What would you like it to be? We'll be playing this next week. What's it going to be? What's it going to be? Give me a choice. Give me a choice. What do we got? What do we got? Earthworms. Not Earthworm Jim, but Earthworms. Lost in Random. Is this the sequel to There Is No Game, Wrong Dimension? Okay, Earthworms. What game is Earthworms and what game is Lost in Random? And while you folks are answering that, other people, please get your nominations in now. I'm going to close this quickly. Resident Evil 4. Veto. Very funny, Dragon Sphere. That's partially an inside joke with Dragon and me. Lost in Random combines dice rolling, RPG elements, and deck builder. All right, sounds like a plan. You were right on with Wrong Dimension. I actually brought up There Is No Game Wrong Dimension during a panel at Worldcon this past weekend, Effect Life. So, Growlancer 2. Eventually, you're going to get it through nonstop. It's going to happen one of these days. Earthworms is a mystery detective point and click. These are all great ideas. Okay, so we've got Earthworms, we've got Lost in Random, Dismantle, Growlancer 2. Remind me about what Dismantle is, Arudnell, and then I'm gonna open this poll up in just a moment. So, last chance to get this in. Going once. Beyond Skyrim, Bruma. Ooh, interesting. That's true. I've never played Beyond Skyrim. Can you like live act the entire thing for me as I'm playing through? Just be like, oh, what's that guy saying? Okay. Can't wait to count out your coin. Can't wait to count out your coin. Can't wait to count out. No, I know you're in it. I know. I'm saying, but like, just, I know. I want you to read over your own lines. Post-apocalyptic Diablo building story is huge, but all done through found lore. All right, cool. All right, these are good choices. All right, so here we go, chat. We are going to open this up. So, chat, the top 3 vote getters for this are going to go into the final round, and the final vote is going to be finished up by Saturday. So now's the time to do it. So please get your votes in right now. $ vote space, and then whichever game you would like to see me play next week. Whether it is Earthworms, Lost in Random, Dismantle, Growlancer 2, or Beyond Skyrim Bruma, starring one Trending Sparks. So please get those votes in. Please vote. Please vote. So it's very Fallout-y is what it sounds like, Arudnell. Is that true? Isn't that like exactly what happens with Fallout? But less depressing. Okay, that's good. I'm all in favor of all of that. All right, we have 2 votes for Growlancer 2. We have 1 vote each for Earthworms and Lost in Random. I'm going to last call this. I'm going to last call this info. So we have 2 votes now. Oh, interesting. So we've got 2 votes for Beyond Skyrim Bruma and 2 votes for Growlancer 2. Now, if we got one other vote for one of the other games, then we would have a nice, easy 3-game split. And remember, if you don't win this month, like I said, you can always renominate. There have been people who have put games up over and over again. Trend tried for World of Goo for a long time, and then eventually we got there. And I like that game enough to play it a couple more times as well. Growlancer 2 with 3 votes, Beyond Skyrim Bruma for 2 votes, and 1 vote each. Okay, so is someone in the Earthworms, Lost in Random, Dismantle willing to change their vote to one of the other 2? Like either Lost in Random, Dismantle, Earthworms, like is anyone willing to do a vote for one of those 3? That would make it easier. I have not played the Council. I have not. Although that sounds really familiar. But maybe just because I, was just talking about a council today in the game, in the stream. Oh, you've already voted, Son of God. Yeah, you would have to do. I feel very odd saying that the Son of God has already voted. With apologies, Son of God, but $ change vote space. Yeah, I was gonna say that doesn't help. But yeah, $ change vote space, and then the number you want to change it to, Son of God, that will allow you to do it. Okay. Okay, so Dismantle has been taken away. So we have Growlancer 2, we have Beyond Skyrim Bruma, and then we have Earthworms and Lost in Random. Well, no, I mean there's people voting for Bruma, so that's not a big deal. What I need really is a way to break the tie between Earthworms and Lost in Random, because I really don't like having more than 3 options. I mean I could, but having 3 is kind of like the sweet spot. So there we go. So wait. Now just one more person move. We're almost there. Stay on target. We're almost there. I'm also adjusting the dashboard for GOG because I got to go over here really quickly. Okay. Still 4 options. Now we need Beyond Skyrim or Lost in Random to switch, or someone to switch to Lost or Random or Beyond Skyrim. One of those 2. We just need one vote each. And I'm running out of time, so we need to do this quickly. Or I'm just going to have to executive decision it and say that we just have 2 this time. Which, if we only have 2 choices, that's okay also. So basically, either Lost and Random Beyond Skyrim get a vote, or I'm just going to make it a 2-vote thing. So, oh, okay. Well, that was kind of you, Effect Life. So we, again, don't make sure to bring it back because that sounds interesting to me. So definitely make sure to bring it back for a future month. But so we have Growlancer 2, Earthworms. I'm going to close this now. Growlancer 2, Earthworms, and Beyond Skyrim Bruma. Those are the 3 choices. Thank you, Effect Life. So those are your 3 choices. And we did get Effect Lives. We played through that game a couple months ago. So we have, in the past, gone along with your ideas too. So thank you for being willing to switch. So there you go. Growlancer 2, which has got some good support, it sounds like. Earthworms and Beyond Skyrim. If we could have someone doing the straw poll link, that would be lovely. If someone's willing to set up that straw poll and link it to next game, that would be really cool. To Earthworms, to Growlancer 2, and to Beyond Skyrim, Beyond Skyrim Bruma. And any of those 3 choices is fine. I'm good with any of those. Those all sound cool to me. Oh, yeah. No, for sure. No, I mean, I'm definitely, I got you. Right. I did play Oblivion, yes. I did indeed. All right, so if we've got that poll locked, we know what it is now, then I'm going to close this. Again, Growlancer 2, Earthworms, and Beyond Skyrim Bruma are the 3 choices. And now I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to exit out of ArvBot Plus. Make sure we got that. Okay, good. Move that over there. County Bruma 200 years later. Nice, although I barely remember Oblivion, but cool. I am looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good times if that game wins, but we shall see. That is the link. Okay. Yes, it is. Thank you, Rudnell. Thank you. That's perfect. Earthworms, Growlancer 2, or Beyond Skyrim Bruma. So folks can get in their votes now for those. And that is going to be up and available. We're going to link it to the next game command. That's going to be up and available to us up until this Saturday. And then at the end of Saturday's session, we will close that down and then we will play that on Tuesday. But right now, I got to rise up on out of here, folks, because I've got to play over at GOG like any minute. So I got to go quick. So I want to thank everyone who made this an awesome stream today. Make sure to follow the channel. Check out the YouTube with !ArvTube, Discord with !ArvCord, Twitter with !ArvTweets. Website is arvanellarun.com. Financially is !ArvShop, !ArvTrayon, you know about, ! For that. And then, of course, subbing to the channel is always appreciated. ! Icarus for details about my Icarus graphic novel. ! Library for Tales and Tomes, The Forbidden Library, and ! Grayshade KS for details about my Grayshade Kickstarter. And of course, as always, ! BLM, Black Lives Matter, very important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. And ! Help Now, which is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Very important to reach out to others when you need help and to reach out to others when they need help as well. That's, again, thank you to my players, to Amal, to Brad, to Terry, who wasn't here today, but we'll have her back next month, and of course to Trendane. Thank you for all of you for being a part of this stream. I really appreciate everyone who supported this campaign over the year. Much more to come with this, as they say, going forward. And otherwise, I'm going to have a few more streams this month, so I'm not going to say goodbye to all of you for 2021 just yet, because we got more to go. But I just wanted to say that for the AME folks. Thank you to my wonderful mods, Rudnell, Dragonspear, Triffity Mets. Thank you to my wonderful subscribers, Rudnell, Dragonspear, Triffity Mets, Effect Life, Nonstop, Craigery, Arenth, Garlic Tofu, Live Suing, and Trendane, and my Patreon supporters in that group as well. Thank you to Ambidexter, Black Fury, Arabs, Ladybug, Lamaray, Little Rusasa. Thank you to Marinda. Thank you to Sarah. Thank you to Son of God. Thank you to the Son of God. Thank you to ScriptEd, and thank you to the Sparkly Wallflower. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much, Rudnell, for the command work. As always, my friend, I appreciate it. And to all of you lovely people, thank you. I'm going to see you over at GOG pretty much right now, so I'll see you over there in just a few minutes. Until then, everyone be good to each other. Bye for now.